This is the Fan Morning Show with KB, JB, and Jeff.
George Holani's the running back. Fake to him. Darnold to the end zone. Barner's got a touchdown. 8:50 to go. Trying to step up and shoot one downfield. It's intercepted. Ill-advised throw in the middle. Julian Love has it. Love 50. Love 40 and out of bounds at the 36-yard line. And they bring up pressure as well. And May get it knocked out as Witherspoon came under pressure. And Uchenna Nwosu is going the distance for a touchdown. And that will do it. Seattle reigns above them all in the NFL. The Seahawks, Super Bowl champions for the second time.
O Seattle Seahawks, pela segunda vez na sua história, é campeão do Super Bowl.
Everything that's happened in my career, but to do it with this team, I wouldn't want it any other way. So proud of our guys, our defense. I mean, I can't say enough great things about our defense, our special teams.
The best team I've ever been around, the closest, toughest, most connected team I've ever been on. I love them. I'm actually, like, as great as it is, I wish the season kept going because it's just such a great team.
What do they say on social media? Mark Dykton with that. The 2026 season comes to a close. I guess the 2025 season, but the Super Bowl is in the books. The Seattle Seahawks are the champions. It was not the most entertaining of football games. The commercials were hit and miss. Most of America lost its mind one way or the other over the halftime show. Other than that, what am I missing, James Boyd, from a tremendous Sunday of sports with the Olympics in the morning and the Olympics right after? What did I miss about the afternoon, the evening yesterday?
I enjoyed the game. I thought that the Patriots would win. I actually picked them to win 24-23. But that defense for Seattle, one of the best I've ever seen, probably one of the best of the last 25 years at least. They had other plans when it came to stopping Drake May. He got sacked 21 times in the postseason, the most in NFL history for one single playoff run. So usually when that happens to your quarterback, you do not get as far as they did, quite honestly, and you don't have as much success as they did. And I thought that the offense for Seattle did just enough, but that defense, boy, they changed the game.
Good morning to Mark and James, and good morning to the fourth man in our booth, really the first man, however you want to measure it. It is Kevin Bowen. Good morning, Kevin. You make your living watching NFL football games all the time, 365 days a year.
You got paid for that last night, KB?
You watch, you analyze, you observe.
I lost money.
You rank. What do you think of that game yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a dud, but there is part of me driving in. It's like, boy, it's more of who you are, Kevin, that you can't appreciate a historic defensive performance. But I don't know, maybe it's how we're wired as fans. We consider the duds, the low-scoring games, and as long as you score a little bit there, just give us that level of entertainment. But I just want competitive fourth quarters, and you really had to stretch to get that.
So it was competitive for what? I don't know, a minute after the touchdown to Mac Hollins?
I guess the Julian Love interception probably closed the door on that. But, yeah, I was dead wrong, and because I thought New England would win as well, James. I mean, Drake May looked – first off, their offensive line, to your point, was awful. I was listening to something on the way in. I didn't realize this. When I think about, like, quarterbacks running for their lives in a Super Bowl, I think back to Mahomes against the Buccaneers.
Yes.
If you remember that Super Bowl from whatever that was now a handful of years ago.
It was like 31-9. It was not good.
And like kind of led to Kansas City saying, all right, we've got to go all in on the offensive line in the offseason. And Drake May was pressured double the amount last night that Mahomes was pressured in that Super Bowl. But then when Drake May had time, I also thought, like, man, should I have paid attention to the shoulder injury a little bit more? Because I thought he had opportunities to potentially, I mean, it was still, 9-0 late into the third quarter, 12. It's not like it was, route on the scoreboard.
Their defense, to their credit, gave them opportunities.
Right. So, but again, I just.
Here's the thing, though.
No one should watch the Super Bowl and think, can I go to bed? And that's what I was thinking watching that Super Bowl.
When it was 12-0, though, did you ever get any sense that New England was going to get back in that football game?
No, but it's one, it's still one play. Like, I mean, you're one play away from a one-possession game. And so that's why I was like, yeah, I didn't have faith in it, but I don't know. I thought Darnold got away with a couple balls early on in that game where, it could have gone either way. But Kenneth Walker, your MVP, I thought the defensive unit for Seattle probably deserved it, but I understood that Kenneth Walker.
This is Jason Myers' erasure.
Got
For a point there, the kicker
I
had
did
the
think
only
about
points.
the kicker, but to me, and not to get into like kicker debates, you don't make anything longer than 41. He didn't have that consequential of a kick. I thought Kenneth Walker deserved it.
It was over when it was 15-0 or whatever
right.
it was.
He didn't even need to make all those field goals.
There's zero chance the NFL wants a kicker winning MVP.
How about kicker and punter? The Seattle
punter was great, actually.
Very good as well in that game.
Again, things that we talk about after the Super Bowl regularly, punter performances.
I had no idea that Kenneth Walker was the first Super Bowl MVP for a running back since Terrell Davis.
Yeah, you know what's crazy?
Been a while.
So, obviously for the league MVP, it's been a while, but that was more recent than the Super Bowl MVP. Because I believe the last running back to win it was in 2012, Adrian Peterson.
Right.
So,
and again, I think
blew my
Dominique
mind.
Rhodes should have won it in the Colts Super Bowl,
Fair.
but still, yeah, I thought it was a dud. But I don't know. Maybe I should appreciate defensive efforts better.
I will say this. It was cool for Sam Darnold to have that moment, considering everything he's been through, 5 different teams in 8 years, and being a former top pick and then not working out with the Jets and all the criticism. He played well enough in that game last night to win and wasn't the MVP of that game, but MVP of their season for sure. That dude played lights out throughout the playoffs, throughout the season. And yeah, he can now say, I'm a Super Bowl champion. And you can take nothing away from him or that group. So that's pretty cool, man.
Well, the Super Bowl is in the books. We'll talk about it throughout the morning here. And I ask this question all the time. You guys spend all of your days covering the Indianapolis Colts, watching those 2 football teams, watching this playoff run. We talk about it a lot, but did anything strike you, Kevin, as like, well, there's a great example of what the Colts need to do if they're ever going to get to that level?
Yeah, I mean, I think kind of leading into the Super Bowl, I hit probably more on the defensive side of the football for both of those teams. And I continued to do that after watching the game itself, just because, when you look at it, it's not like those 2 defenses are just absurdly invested with, high draft picks. I was actually looking at Seattle's front because I thought that was the difference in the game. Their front 7, I believe 5 of the 7 guys, Seattle is their second or third team they've been on. So, when you look at some of those guys, cast-off sounds like kind of a bad way to put it, but, they have been in other stops.
Yeah, like less heralded players.
Yeah, so that is something that definitely stands out to me because, again, the Colts, I think you could make a strong argument the Colts have probably invested more into their defense than either of those Super Bowl teams. And certainly if you watch the season unfold, they got a lot less out of it. So I know quarterback we quickly go to, and sure, Darnold, I guess, was available. Drake May, I'm not going to play that game as the 3rd overall pick.
He couldn't feel his arm
in the draft after you take that quarterback. So was he hurt? Pain-killing injection before the game?
I guess what was weird, I don't think he was on the injury report all week. So
well, he was on it,
weird.
but just like
full participant and all
but like
that,
it was shoulder,
It's fine. I mean, you have all offseason to get better, I guess.
I mean, if I were him, I would say I was hurt.
You would say that?
Yeah. I think he looked hurt to me. I mean, he missed some. There was the 3rd and 1 right there in the 3rd quarter.
Yeah.
Their defense gets a stop. And what's the score at that point? Are we still 9-0?
It might have been. I believe so, yes. I want to see, yeah.
Hell, it might have been 6. No, I guess it was 9 at halftime. But anyways, it's 9-0. And they have a 3rd and 1 wide the hell open. And they really had decent field position, many drives. They'd start like on the 40 or the 35.
Yeah.
I mean, they had nice field position, and he just misses it. And that was a 10, 15-yard play that, boom, would have gotten you, going there right out of the gate to start the 3rd quarter. And he missed that one. The 3rd and 4 later in the 3rd quarter, I felt like, was one that he hits. And, I mean, we're talking about Drake May, the runner-up for MVP, the guy that lost to Matthew Stafford by 1 vote. Like, he had a better season than Sam Darnold, if you really want to individualize it, over the course of the regular season. So, yeah, I mean, if I were him, I'd be shouting from the mountaintops I was hurt.
I was going to get the dump button ready right there. But I would say when I was watching that game and I saw the escapability, is that a word, for Sam Darnold, his ability to elude some of the pass rush, I thought of Daniel Jones and the Achilles. and I was thinking I highly doubt he'll be able to move like that his first year back from the Achilles. Now, hey, Daniel, if you're listening, prove me wrong, brother. I'll write the story. Everyone loves a good comeback, but that really stood out to me. The ability to avoid the disaster play. Because there were a few times where I was thinking, man, how could the Patriots not get home? How did they not, get a strip sack or something? And he was, moving and dealing a little bit. And again, it wasn't one of the bigger Sam Darnold performances, but I thought that he did enough to avoid the mistakes that ultimately plagued the Patriots. And I can't put it all on Drake May, as you pointed out, Kevin, because that offensive line, boy, Will Campbell, that is a game you will want to forget. I heard he didn't speak to the media after the game. I'm like, brother, they will not be kind in New England. They weren't going to be kind if you talked or not. But, yeah, I thought that was, a weak performance and kind of weak after the game, too.
The other thing is just the escapability was tremendous for him. But on the other side of the football, I know Drake May was dealing with a lot of stuff, and we have talked about it a little bit, but he was under constant pressure all night long. And even Chris Collinsworth had talked about the fact that you're going to struggle in a game in which the other team only has to rush 4 guys, and they're all over you all the time. And that's what they did for the most part. They didn't have exotic blitzes or crazy things for most of the time. Like New England had some crazy blitzes. New England was bringing it from everywhere, but Seattle pretty much just did it with their basic front.
Mark, they needed Caleb Williams to run around and throw up some dimes because my boy Drake May could not get that done yesterday.
Well, there was at one point Chris Collinsworth, like late in the fourth quarter, was like, this game's not over. I'm like, it's not the Bears with 2 minutes left, Chris. This game is over, bud. Stop trying to hang on to viewership.
I was trying to hang on for dear life as well with Collinsworth, but the Julian Love pick. If you went to bed, first off, smart. Secondly, I did find it fitting Seattle's defense was able to close it. Like the Love interception, and then what did that officially go down as? Did it go down as a fumble?
It was a pick.
It was a pick.
It was a pick.
Pick six.
Yeah.
So basically, under duress, Drake May, one of those bang bang, could have been a fumble, could have been a pick. Yeah, pick 6, I guess is what it goes down as. That, truly iced it. I felt that was very deserving for Seattle's defense. That they were the ones that said, all right, let's get the confetti going here.
That's if you count Seattle as being a team that struggled a little bit on offense. That's last year it seemed like Kansas City couldn't get anything going, and now second year in a row the offense for one of the teams just can't get it going. I know that they got those 2 touchdowns late in the fourth quarter, but the game was already over by the time that happened.
Yeah, I thought the Mac Hollins touchdown gave him a little bit of life, but if you don't get a stop and a score right after that, it's over. Which, to your point, Jeff, we all knew it was.
All right, that's what's happening. We'll talk a little bit more about the Super Bowl throughout the morning here. We'll get your thoughts and feedback on the fan text line at 239-1070. You can also call us up there at 239-1070. Mark, we haven't even talked about all the commercials and the hoopla around the Super Bowl yesterday. We'll get to some of that before the day is over as well. It's all right here at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Checkdown. Brought to you by the Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships. March starts here. The Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships with NCAA tournament bids online. March 8th through 10th. Tickets and more at horizonleague.com/Indy.
Good morning, everyone. The day after the Super Bowl, we are here. The NFL season is over. I've already started going through withdrawal pains. What am I going to do without football for the next 7-8 months? I guess we got the Combine coming up. We'll talk more about that in the next few days. Yesterday, a Super Bowl was played and won by the Seattle Seahawks 29-13. They beat the New England Patriots, led throughout the entire game. Kenneth Walker is the MVP, 135 yards rushing. Sam Darnold threw for 202 yards and a touchdown. Here's the crazy part, Kevin. Would you be surprised if I told you total yards? Seattle only had 4 more total yards than New England by the end of the night.
Yeah, that was a lot of fourth quarter. I go back to the, I think it was the IU-Oregon Peach Bowl. I think Oregon might have had more yards than Indiana. Talk about a very misleading stat in both of those games.
Uchenna Nwosu put it away with an interception return of 45 yards in the fourth quarter. That made it just a bridge too far for New England, who did get some things going in the fourth quarter, but it was much, much too late. By the way, James, I don't know if you saw the Seahawks inside linebacker coach, Kirk Olividati, former receiver at Purdue. There's your local tie.
Oh, well, that's news to me. I thought you were.
I didn't know that until last night.
Witherspoon, who went to Illinois. Shout out my boy.
Yeah, a couple other local ties. A.J. Barner scored a touchdown in the game. He actually started his career at Indiana and then transferred to Michigan, as Mike Tirico pointed out on the broadcast there. Won a national title with Michigan. And then shout out to the Notre Dame duo. Riley Mills had a sack in the game as a rookie there. And then Julian Love had one of the, I guess, kind of game-sealing interceptions there, also a Notre Dame product.
All right, in NBA yesterday, the Pacers lost to Toronto, but that's not what anybody's talking about today. We are awaiting word, Kevin, on Johnny Furphy, who went in for a slam dunk, completed that, fell, then fell down, and then was taken off the court with a wheelchair with a potential right knee injury. We'll know more today, but will it just stop the injuries this year?
Yeah, it did not look good at all when Furphy, another typical Furphy dunk, and then the reaction after that. And, of course, he obviously is a guy that is playing more minutes here recently and is one that, as you start to look ahead, could factor in to being an important piece for you coming off the bench here as early as next season. So, yeah, they are in New York now. It's a back-to-back the next 2 nights before the All-Star break. So it's Knicks and Nets. Further imaging coming up today was the update from Rick Carlisle. So off day today, again, back-to-back tomorrow, Wednesday, before they head to the All-Star break.
122-104 was the final in Toronto. Scotty Barnes had 25 and 14, and Trace Jackson Davis made his Raptors debut, James, 10 points, 10 rebounds.
Shout out to the former IU star.
All right, and the Pacers, meanwhile, are waiting for Ivica Zubac and Kobe Brown to they are now in Indianapolis. I saw them arrive at the airport on a video that they posted yesterday, but we'll find out when they get into the game later on this week. Indiana
Ankle
women
injury, is that what Rick Carlisle said for Ivica Zubac?
Yeah, that he played through with the Clippers, and boy, the tank is on, everybody. I was thinking to myself, 1, he ain't playing no time soon. 2, how many fourth quarters is Pascal Siakam going to be playing in for the rest of the season? And 3, how many games are they winning the rest of the year? Because this is going to be some nasty tanking, and I don't knock it, but they will be losing on purpose the rest of the way.
And honestly, you watch what happened yesterday.
Yeah, exactly.
And I get it. That can happen to anybody on any night. Like, true. I'm not, but like, it was one of those eye-open. And you watch the bench react to it. Yeah, that ankle. Going to be blowing up like a grapefruit quite often for Ivica Zubac, I think. All that flying cross country. He might be in a boot coming up later today.
They might have to rest him until after the All-Star break, James.
Paternity leave, right?
I was going to say, I would like
How
to
many
know,
weeks did Pacer Sports Entertainment give for the old paternity leave? Simons?
Does he get the same as like the the team employees? Like the ones who don't play? I don't know. Players always get a little special treatment. Maybe
ticket manager gets, whatever, 2 weeks. Zubac gets 2 months.
Pacers currently have the second worst record in the league. They are 13 and 40. 13 and 40 right now in the NBA. Over the weekend, Purdue held off Oregon 68-64 in a game that was way too close for my liking. Indiana got a win over Wisconsin 78-77. A lot of referee questions about that one, but the key blocked charge late in the game. I thought was a correct call. Looked like the Wisconsin player tripped the Indiana player.
Well, again, two different calls. Yeah, I mean, I'd say the block charge was more of Connor Enright in front of the Wisconsin bench. I think his head snapped back to Bedford as he sold that one. And then live, I actually thought the Wilkerson play was a bad call, but then you go back and you watch the replay. It did look like John Blackwell stepped on his foot there. But, yeah, nonetheless, you have one field goal in the last 10 minutes of the game, and you find a way to get it done, maybe with the officials helping you out. By all means. So Indiana's got a game tonight. Oregon, they've got, and again, like you said, Jeff, Oregon gave Purdue everything they wanted and more until Fletcher Lawyer stepped into one to avoid disaster there in West Lafayette. So Indiana, Oregon, that is 8:30 tonight from Bloomington. The very weird Monday 8:30 basketball game.
So that's also Marquette beating Butler on Saturday and Florida State over Notre Dame on Saturday. You mentioned the game coming up tonight, Indiana and Oregon. The Indiana women won their third in a row with a 74-59 win over Purdue. Shea Chesky had 29 points to lead everybody in that one. And, of course, the big story at the Olympics, Lindsey Vonn. Tangled with a gate, crashed, broke a leg, was taken to a hospital, just was not meant to be. The 41-year-old coming off of an ACL tear that she suffered about a week and a half ago. She had gone through several practice runs and had posted some of the fastest times amongst those practice runs, but made a mistake at the gate, ends up leaving with a different injury. And by all accounts, those watching who ski for a living say technically the knee probably didn't cause that crash. She just went too tight in on a gate.
Yeah, I would like to, well, not like to think, but I would think that her Olympic career is probably over after this. But nevertheless, still a legend, and respect her for even going out there and trying, because Lord knows not a lot of people would.
Also last night, the United States won the team event in figure skating, got a gold medal there. Norway on top of the table for medals right now with 3 golds, a silver, and 2 bronze with the most golds. USA second with 2 golds, but the overall medal count belongs to host Italy. 6 bronzes, 2 silvers, and a gold medal. They've got 9 so far. I always like it when the host country does well, Kevin.
I don't care. I want the United States to get all the medals.
Well, I do want the U.S. to win medals, but
we've watched a lot of mixed curling in the Bowen household. I can hear the wife's voice say, "Line is good, line is good." She's yelling.
Also, Chris Gutterup wins for the second time in 3 starts on the PGA Tour. The Phoenix Waste Management was a playoff yesterday between he and Hideki Matsuyama. He opened with a 63, closed with a 64. We should start paying attention to this guy, Kevin.
Can pound it. Maybe should have been on the Ryder Cup team last year. By the way, shout out to Miami of Ohio, still undefeated in men's basketball. Mark Travis Steele, 9 o'clock Wednesday, is that right?
Yep.
The head basketball coach of the undefeated Miami, Ohio Redhawks. Travis Steele has got connections galore to the state of Indiana. And will we be down to 1 undefeated after tonight on our airwaves? Tonight, Arizona and Kansas. That officially will tip at 9 o'clock. So, again, Indiana, Oregon over on WIBC. Arizona at Kansas tonight. That is a juicy one. On Big Monday, we will see if Arizona can continue their undefeated season.
All right, that's what's happening in the world of sports. Coming up in just a moment, we'll take another look back at yesterday's Super Bowl. It goes to the Seattle Seahawks. Get your thoughts and feedback. 239-1070. How's that compare to what's going on with the Indianapolis Colts, and how much farther did they have to go to get on that level? We'll talk about it all morning right here on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome into the Fan Morning Show. Kevin Bowen, Mark Dykton, and, of course, James Boyd wearing all Illinois garb today. Conscious choice, or that's just what was available this morning?
Jeff, if you think I make any conscious choices, I wake up
before about 7:45.
I see what's clean, exactly, and I get here to see your smiling faces.
He's wiping the sleep out of his eyes and just grabbing whatever's nearby.
I mean, are we not all doing this?
Oh, I'm in the pitch black. I'm trying not to wake up anyone in my household.
I will say this. This is a true story. So last Friday, they told us they had to fix a fire hydrant on our street. So they cut the water off in our building from about 9 a.m. to, I don't know, it was like out for 4 to 6 hours. I got on the road to see my family, so I didn't really care. But, boy, if I had stayed any longer, boys, I was going to be calling you guys to see if I could, stop by to do the number 2.
Oh, wow. Just come to work.
He had no water, man. I was thinking, hey, KB, open up, brother.
I would have told you your badge works and you live about a half block from.
So what you mean? No, I'm like, yeah, I'm just asking. Can a brother, have a little seat of one?
I don't think you want to walk in and experience the Bowen household right now.
It's the Fan Morning Show here at 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Thanks for getting up early and joining us today as you get ready for your day. NFL memes tweeted out, Kevin. Never forget that 44-year-old Phillip Rivers got up off his couch and had the champs on the ropes after literally 3 days of practice.
Gotta love that the Colts highlight is an almost win.
Yeah, we had Duncan send in the very popular picture of the Colts hanging banners in their Lucas Oil Stadium, and I believe it said almost beat the Seahawks with Phillip Rivers. So that is how we will remember 2025 season. That was probably the Colts' best defensive effort of the season. Certainly one of them.
It was.
Maybe, if not the best there. Yeah,
until it wasn't at the very end.
Was the NFC title game, was that really the Super Bowl?
Felt like it, but it kind of felt like it at the time. To me, it felt like it at the time. I didn't think either AFC team was as good as either NFC team.
Yeah, you were spot on about that. I was dead wrong. I thought New England would make it more of a game there. But again, that defensive performance, it's one of the best we have seen in Super Bowl history. And it's a shame, and my hand is raised more than any, that I won't give it the credit. Like, this will be one of the dud Super Bowls that I will remember. But that shouldn't discredit Seattle's defensive effort. It just felt like they should have handed the MVP to their whole unit.
How you guys feeling today that Sam Darnold is a Super Bowl champion?
Happy for him. I think he went through a lot in his career and was always a class act. I don't think you can find any clips of Sam Darnold ever saying what he probably really wants to say about where he was and the franchises he played for. So I thought he's been a really good example of how you can bounce back in your career. And honestly, his career is probably one of the rarer ones we'll see. I know we all love a redemption story, but this isn't like his second or third. This is his fifth team. And for him to even, last in the NFL long enough to start for that many teams and legitimately get a chance to start is kind of crazy. So he's looking great, feeling great probably this morning. Well, I don't know about feeling great. You feel great about Super Bowl, maybe the drinks and the cigars, it put you down a little longer. But I have to think that the Vikings are like, boy, we had that guy on our team, we let him walk.
And they also kind of did it for the most part till the very end of the game. They kind of did it without Jackson Smith and Jigba for a lot of that game. He was being evaluated for concussion. He came up gimpy in the first half. He finally made a little bit of an impact in the second half. But for the most part, they did not have the best receiver in the league that he has been all year long in that game yesterday.
No, offensively, really, it was Kenneth Walker. And
Barner had some nice catches.
Yeah, but by no means was that some banner day for, Darnold and their offense. And they've had some of those, throughout the course of the season there. And at times, and I think Tirico reminded us late in the game of New England was the second ranked scoring offense in the entire NFL this past season. And you watch last night and you think, what? How are they the second ranked, especially that offensive line? And,
that's what people will probably tell you about the weak schedule that they had all year long, right?
But still,
you're still scoring against NFL defense.
It's the NFL. Over the course of 17 games to be, okay, does their schedule knock them down to whatever, the 10th scoring offense? That's still pretty darn good. And, to have that big of a no-show in the Super Bowl. And as much as like I thought May maybe missed a couple of opportunities, they just absolutely whipped New England up front. And, I think, James, you maybe pointed out earlier in the show, really whipped them with just their front four.
Yeah, that was crazy.
It's not like they had to bring Ernest Jones and Eamon Worry and, all these guys. No, they could play a lot of coverage. And that's when you're doing that, it's just a different animal.
KB, the timing of their blitzes, though, boy, when they brought heat, it worked pretty much every time. So, Mike McDonald, I think he solidified himself as one of the best defensive coaches in NFL history with that unit. And also, wasn't he with the Ravens a couple years ago? And their defense was really good. He left. Their defense is awful. Their defense is god-awful since he's left and gone out west. And so I'm sure he's very excited this morning being a Super Bowl champ. And I think once you get to that level and you win one as a coach, you just put yourself in rare air. And you probably exercised a few demons there yesterday, getting some revenge, as they say, against a team that you lost in such dramatic fashion to over a decade ago. I did see, I think it was Nike, might have cut a commercial with Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah, I saw that post-game.
He said something about the best taste is when you get your lick back or something like that. And I was like, well, yeah, there you go. You got your lick back. And, this time you made sure it was not even close enough to have some, crazy play. I was kind of hoping for that. I'm not going to lie. Fourth quarter, 1 yard. You need 1 yard. What do you call it? I need that replayed in real time just to see what you would do. But Kenneth Walker, man, I didn't realize that when I was looking it up, he had the most scrimmage yards of any Seahawks player in the Super Bowl. Now, granted, they haven't been to very many, but still an underrated performance. I think it won't be like remembered all time by the masses, but it'll be one of those lists we look back on and say, oh, yeah, he did win a Super Bowl MVP.
The other thing, when you start talking about Seattle, obviously we had the end of the Patriots dynasty, and they did their thing, and then it was kind of controlled by Kansas City for a couple of years. Philadelphia's played very well. San Francisco's got a spot appearance here and there. This is the fourth Super Bowl for the Seahawks in, the last 15, 16 years, Kevin?
Well, we talked a little bit about this leading into the Super Bowl, and I think it's worth going back to. When you look at Seattle and the head coach and the quarterback, how quickly they have moved on. And first off, let's just stick with Pete Carroll for a second. It's not like Pete Carroll's Seahawks teams were going 4-12 his last couple of years. If I'm not mistaken, they were right at 500, if not better than 500 in Carroll's last two seasons. But, again, and this gets into the Carly Gordon question to Chris Ballard. To me, if you feel the need to have the top question to one of your top lieutenants be, hey, do you still have the juju or the shimmer? Pete Carroll kind of falls more into that boat of, okay, here's a guy that's had great success with our franchise for a decade. He is getting older. Let's ask that question of him. Now, who knows? Pete Carroll obviously went on to the Raiders. Didn't go well for that year there. But Seattle, made the decision to say, all right, enough is enough. We had a great run with Pete Carroll. He's undoubtedly one of the best football coaches, collegially and professionally, we've seen. But we're not going to keep doing this, even though he's got a resume that you would understand him to continue to keep his job there. And they hire a guy in Mike McDonald, to your point, that didn't have some long resume of, yes, he was with Baltimore, but he was Michigan's defensive coordinator there just a couple of years ago, going back to the college game, and then, of course, quarterback. Not only have they moved on from Russell Wilson once, but they did it twice. If they would have kept doing the Geno Smith thing, I don't think people would have ripped them for it. Geno Smith had a nice resurrection. They made the playoffs with Geno Smith, yet they decided to make another move there. So I think it's a credit to their franchise, just making some moves where, hey, we've got people at quarterback and head coach that are doing a nice job. Hell, those resumes are better than anything we got here in Indianapolis. And yet they decided to make changes, and now here they are on the mountaintop.
So is that all on John Schneider, the general manager up there, the guy that is not afraid to make a move? Maybe a year, Belichick did that famously during the Patriots run. Move on from a guy maybe even 1 year too early and start reloading and get a little cheaper and a little younger and start trying to improve yourself that way.
Yeah, for sure. He's one of the best GMs in probably league history. I want to say he's a I'm looking at here, 3-time Super Bowl champion. So, yeah, I got to give him a lot of credit for what he's gotten done. And obviously, being the general manager of a Super Bowl winning team and doing it in very different ways, or at least I believe the stat that I read yesterday was that, there isn't a single player on that roster from yesterday's game that was there when they won in 2014. Well, granted, that's obviously a long time, especially in the NFL, but nevertheless, you had to rebuild the whole thing all over again, and you got it done.
Yeah, so that's 3 since 2014. They beat the Broncos in that Super Bowl you're talking about. They lost the next year to the New England Patriots on the play at the 1-yard line, and then they had a little bit of a drought until they get back to this one. And the fourth one I was talking about is really longer. Believe it or not, it's been 20 years since they lost to Pittsburgh in that Super Bowl. Can you believe that?
Yeah, honestly, I want to say the
Matt
first
Hasselbeck and Sean Alexander.
Yeah, I want to say the first Madden I had Sean Alexander on the cover. So, been a little while since I played video games.
Man, oh man. So that's what's going on with the Super Bowl. All right, Super Bowl commercials. What do you think? I thought for the most part I was not blown away by them, but I did love a couple of them. I liked the Dunkin' Donuts with all the 90s sitcom characters in there. That was pretty good. And I also liked the William Shat, or Will Shat. Isn't that what they called him, Mark? William Shatner, talking about cereal and fiber.
I think I missed that one. I don't know which one that one is. Which one's that one?
It was all about, he did a cereal commercial, and it was all about filling yourself up with fiber. Kellogg's Raisin Bran is what it was.
I don't know how I missed that one then. Was that before the game started?
I think he said, no, it was like towards the end.
Oh, I was probably checking out at that point.
I don't know.
I thought they were okay. I didn't think to myself, oh, that's the worst commercial I've ever seen. But I don't know that as a group that they were tremendous.
See, I feel like my brain just shuts off as soon as the game is no longer on my TV. Like I had to do a little bit of work for the Athletics, so a lot of the commercials I had my head down on my laptop, and then I was going to the bathroom or I was going to get a snack from the kitchen. So I saw the Ring camera commercial. That was kind of like Big Brother-ish, but I guess.
Yeah, that one, a lot of people were like, that was creepy. I'm like,
yeah. But I also think that, did you not think this was already happening with Ring cameras and facial recognition or whatever else they've got going on? I feel like I want to be upset, Kevin, about like how much access like the government has to like me, but here I am with the smartphone and the laptop and, every other device that probably tells you where I'm at. My car has a GPS, like, I don't know. I'm not one of those who's going to get upset.
Texting your parents your social security number.
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple that stood out, and I'm with James and Mark. I don't know. I probably should have paid attention a little bit more to him. But I know I think it got to Coinbase at the end. It was the Backstreet Boys karaoke.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know that one. Because, last year we had the one where it was just the QR code. Remember? For like 30 seconds.
Weird. Yeah.
I think that was a crypto one, if I remember correctly, which, again, at the end of the day, that's all you're trying to do. Get people to remember. The Uber Eats with McConaughey and Bradley Cooper, I know, was one that got a few laughs. And then on a more serious note, and two people that I don't know if certainly one of them doesn't usually fall in this boat, but I thought the prostate cancer one with Bruce Arians and Rob Gronkowski was very good. That was in the third quarter, I remember, because I just got the kids to bed and come downstairs and saw that one. So that was one that I thought was pretty well done.
Mark, did you catch the trailer for the Netflix sequel to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, focusing on Brad Pitt's character, Cliff Booth? Yes. At first, I thought I had to go look up, is that a real thing, or are they just messing with us? Apparently, that's a real thing coming to Netflix, right?
Yeah, I was confused at first. I'm like, that looks like Brad Pitt from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That's definitely his car. But then there was no title, and it just said coming soon. I'm like, what the hell was that? And then I looked into it. I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. I'm all in on that one. So, whenever that drops on Netflix, I will be watching that one because that's one of my favorite movies. Like the Dunkin' commercial, I thought the Budweiser ad with the horse and the baby bald eagle, thought that was solid with Freebird playing in the background. I enjoyed that one. Sights-wise, I enjoyed the Sabrina Carpenter Pringles commercial. That was a solid one.
I wonder why you like that.
I like chips. What do you mean?
Smart man, I do too.
Taste, Mark's favorite song there.
Mm-hmm.
On that end. I will say
That's the truth, too.
And you want to talk about the highlight halftime for Kevin Bowen? Can I share this with you?
Yeah.
Bad Bunny's on the TV. Here we go. The bushes are coming out. All of a sudden, this great scene. And I look down at my phone, and Ryan Bowen's texting me, we have a hotel room for Las Vegas for the national championship game for next year.
Well, he was making use of his halftime.
How about that? Ryan
making
Bowen
use of
has
his
already
halftime.
booked a hotel room for Las Vegas, thinking that Notre Dame's going to be there for the national championship next year.
And worst case scenario is you guys
Is
go
that
on a trip to
jinx?
Vegas.
Is that psychotic or is that smart?
That's smart because, A, we know how the prices get driven up, but more than anything, you still got a good place to go. Even if for whatever reason Indiana doesn't make it, or no, I mean, I guess Notre Dame in your case.
I was about to say, what? You see the look on this man's face? Oh, my goodness. Man,
Point is,
Kevin,
Jeff's
that
been
is
doing the show for-
blasphemy.
first off,
sue him.
Jeff's
for
been doing the show
slander,
for a year
libel.
with us. Doesn't know who my favorite team is. And then secondly, he thinks there's a chance in hell that if Notre Dame doesn't make it, Matty Bowen's just going to be like, oh, yeah, you and Ryan, go enjoy Vegas for 3 nights.
Well,
Go show out thousands of dollars for teams you don't care about.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah.
First of all,
we'll just
I've
make
been-
it all back in the casino.
I think I've been, James, very consistent in my shade towards Notre Dame in very subtle ways, but more than anything, you don't think that you can't say, Maddie,
Man.
grab your friend, let's go,
With 3 kids at home.
let's go. Can't you make it like a family thing?
Your house a little different than mine.
You know what? Just call your boy JB. By that time, I'll be more prepared. That is
You're-
nuts.
So how
The look on
confident
his
are
face
you
is
in Notre
hilarious.
Dame next year? Now,
Well, I got so nervous. I couldn't even concentrate on Mr. Bunny. I was nervous. I was like, is
Mr.
this
Bunny is
good?
crazy.
Is this smart? Is it? And then I'm looking at, then I see Jessica Alba. Then I get a little bit more excited. And then all of a sudden I'm back to thinking I'm sweating. And then I'm not able to follow along from a musical standpoint. Matty Bowen's like, it looks great. I'd like a few more sing-alongs, but So it was a very nervous halftime show for me.
I will say this. So the couple that got legally married.
Yeah, that was a
in
thing.
The halftime show. So I need more reporting on this because
So they invited Bad Bunny, correct?
to their wedding, and he
Right.
said, no,
I'm busy
I
that
probably can't
weekend.
really make it, so you should just have your wedding in my show. One, I need better friends because none of y'all, I can't ask y'all to do anything and end up at the Super Bowl. My goodness, you work in sports. You think Jeff or somebody would have some pull these days, but no, I need to know the essence of this relationship because I'm like, how the heck is that even an option? Hey, by the way, biggest artist in the world, can you stop by my wedding? No, but you can stop by the biggest performance in the world, at least sports-wise, on an annual basis. That is hilarious. I thought I was like, what? That's a real thing? So, well, how about that?
But from the artist perspective, what a brilliant idea to say, you know what? I'm busy that weekend, but that might make good TV. Why don't you come on along?
That's crazy. I did think I enjoyed the halftime show. I have no idea what it was being said most of the time, but the hips are gyrating a little bit.
I will
Vibes
say
are
this.
great.
Made me want to go to Puerto Rico, that's for sure.
Hey,
I will
doesn't sound
say
bad
this.
time of year.
Future Super Bowls are going to have to run to get better sets than we saw last night. The
Yeah.
amount of stuff they got out there on and off the field, those guys, whoever the people were that set that thing up and pulled it back in time for the game to continue on, those guys are the heroes, Kevin.
Yeah, I saw like an aerial shot from like some of the media members that were there because when you watch the show, I found myself like forgetting they were in a football stadium.
yeah.
Right.
And then the aerial shot, the set was from like the 30 to the 30 or, it didn't take up the whole field. And I was like, oh yeah, I totally forgot that they are in in an actual football stadium there. So yeah, boy, the game was a dud, but you want hot takes, you're going to find it with the halftime show.
Yes, and we will let you go other places to worry about
I do have
those
a
hot
question,
takes.
real quick. Streakers at Super Bowl. What's the punishment? Because I'm like, man, I would hate to make it all the way to the Super Bowl and then end up in jail. Like, do you get a felony for that? Or
Did you
something?
see one of the defenders for New England was chasing the dude down?
Yeah, you know what's crazy? I think, and I read this, I want to say this might have been a couple years ago. I forget which incident it was. You could actually get sued if you're the player and you go and hit the fan who's on the field because you're the aggressor and you're not like an imminent danger.
I don't know, boy. Legally, I don't agree with that. If you come on to
Like if they're
You
not
got
running
what's
towards
coming
you,
to
like
you.
if they're not
Yep.
running towards you, like the guy last night
Our
was
play.
running away from you.
yeah,
and
Kyle
you go
Williams,
tackle him.
Patriots wideout. Yeah, he made a beeline for him, and then the streaker just kind of gave up,
Yeah.
which probably
Yeah, he
smart
went into
there
the quarterback slide
on
when
that.
he saw the New
and I guess
England
not
guy.
full
But
streaker.
like, what is like? Does that follow you for the rest of your life? I feel like you should be banned from every stadium forever. That's annoying to me. I see,
Yeah,
we
but
see
when
it
they
every
say
year.
that, I'm like, how do you ban them from? Is there facial recognition at every stadium? Is James Dolan, the Knicks owner, have do every single security guard at every single gate all of a sudden be like, oh yeah, you're one of the people on the ban list. You can't get in
You
here.
throw them in solitary and say, "Hey, you're gonna stand here until you promise not to do this again."
Honestly, I thought
Turn the lights off.
I think it was when the streaker happened. That was like the best part of the game for the Patriots. Was that when the Seattle dude punched Stephon Diggs and they missed it?
Yeah.
And then, like, I think at that point, New England, Matt Collins had scored the touchdown, and I want to say they had driven to, like, midfield. For those that, again, fell asleep, the Drake May interception to Julian Love was horrific, just to put the nail in the coffin. But they were driving. Were they down 1 score? Or was it 2 scores and they were trying to get it to 1 score?
I think it was 2 to get to 1.
Which would have put some, serious game pressure on Seattle there at that point. And then all of a sudden, Drake May, I swear he was hurt. And I swear if I was him, I'd say I was hurt. I guess he said post-game he took a pain-killing injection in the right shoulder before the game. It certainly looked like that.
So Super Bowl is in the books, and the Seattle Seahawks are the champions for this year. We'll talk a little bit more about the Colts and what they need to do to get up to that level. Talk about the Pacers with another injured player. All coming up next. It's 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The gold standard for hair restoration, it is We Grow Hair Indy Northwest Side. That'd be the Pyramids building number 2. And honestly, you saw what that halftime show looked like with all those bushes. I'll tell you what, you can have a bush full of hair after you get done with We Grow Hair Indy. I don't know if that made sense at all. I'm really hoping it did, but I don't know if that landed on a Monday. Nonetheless, head to their website, WeGrowHairIndy.com. They are the gold standard when it comes to hair restoration. You'll see plenty of before and after pictures and videos, and I think the results will tell you probably exactly what you need to know, but certainly the process you're going to be curious about, and you can find out more by contacting them. Free evaluation, private evaluation, virtual evaluation, All of that awaits at We Grow Hair Indy. So again, up on the northwest side, building number 2, that would be the Pyramids. And online, it's WeGrowHairIndy.com, the gold standard for hair restoration.
This is the Fan Morning Show with KB, JB, and Jeff.
George Kalani's the running back. Fake to him. Darnold to the end zone. Barner's got a touchdown. 8:50 to go. Trying to step up and shoot one downfield. It's intercepted. Ill advised throw in the middle. Julian Love has it. Love 50. Love 40 and out of bounds at the 36-yard line. And they bring up pressure as well. And they get a knockdown as Witherspoon came under pressure. And Uchenna Nwosu is going the distance for a touchdown. And that will do it. Seattle reigns above them all in the NFL. The Seahawks, Super Bowl champions for the second time.
O Seattle Seahawks, pela segunda vez na sua história, é campeão do Super Bowl.
Everything that's happened in my career, but to do it with this team, I wouldn't want it any other way. So proud of our guys, our defense. I mean, I can't say enough great things about our defense, our special teams.
The best team I've ever been around. The closest, toughest, most connected team I've ever been on. I love them. I'm actually, like, as great as it is, I wish the season kept going because it's just such a great team.
Good morning and welcome into the morning after the Super Bowl. Super Bowl 60 goes to the Seattle Seahawks. 29-13 winners yesterday over the New England Patriots. One thing we didn't talk about in the first hour at all that I did want to bring up, and maybe I get nerdy on this stuff, maybe you guys see it too. I thought, and I want to hear from all of you on this, I thought beginning to end, Mike Tirico was flawless as a broadcaster. He was, as a broadcaster, I was in awe of his performance yesterday. He was perfect. He never missed a beat. He had the perfect information at just the right time. I thought he did a great job setting things up all night long. He came up with some amazing, at the very end, they're showing kind of a just now put together highlight reel of everything that just happened towards the end of the game. He's narrating that live as it happens flawlessly. I'm just telling you, as a broadcaster, I thought last night was one of the single biggest close to perfection performances I've seen. It was amazing. I was literally in awe of his performance yesterday.
Yeah, I don't know if last night necessarily stood out to me in that magnitude, but I would say Tirico is always the definition of a pro, no matter what he's doing. And then flight last night to Milan, right?
Probably getting there right about now.
Yeah, so, yeah, I mean, he's the modern GOAT broadcaster, again, across all sports. And I think it was a big desire of his to want to go to NBC for this, a.k.a. Super Bowl, Olympics, all of it. So, again, I don't know. I admittedly was a little tuned out, but Tirico is always pro.
Just again, the right nuggets at the right time, so well prepared so that when something does come up, you have just the right amount of knowledge to color it and say why it's different or why that matters or why it's relevant. And I just thought he was spectacular. I thought NBC did a fantastic job on the broadcast.
I thought the funniest moment of the broadcast, shout out to Mike Tirico, one of the best in the business, but he had nothing on my boy Chris Collinsworth, who said live on the air, I have no idea. I got nothing for you. After the Drake May interception.
I got nothing for you,
That
bro.
was hilarious.
He had
because truly, if you watch the playback, I agree with you. That was a horrible decision.
Yeah, that was great, honestly, by Collinsworth. Seriously, yeah.
That was so bad. And I felt like that encapsulated the moment there. So a bit of humor from Chris Collinsworth, who I know some people can be critical of him. Some people like him. I don't know. I don't know if I'm just like a softie, but you have to be very, very, very bad for me to notice it like live and be like, boy, I don't listen to this person anymore. That rarely happens for me. I think a lot of the broadcasters are doing a good job, but that moment there, that's one I can't say I'll never forget it, but that's what I'm thinking of this morning for sure.
I don't think it came too long after New England's first touchdown, and they had finally started to get a little something going. And Collinsworth had just mentioned about a drive and a half earlier that, hey, maybe New England's got something going here. Let's see if they can get some momentum. And then that happens, and you're right. It was just hey, I got nothing for you. I don't even know what to tell you.
I will say this. If we can talk to our significant others around Valentine's like Jeff's talking about Mike Tirico right now, then
there we go.
We all might be a little.
So,
by the way, happy birthday over the weekend to Christine.
Could really use a Mark Sounder here to kind of get me through that.
Yeah.
Mark's over there. I don't know what's Mark doing
oh, he's
in
cooking
there.
up something. You just wait.
Man,
But
guy's asleep. He's usually all over everything I say.
speaking of, love and being romantic, KB, I was talking to my parents about this. I told my dad, and he's, he loves football. He would watch any game. He was watching the Pro Bowl. Oh my gosh, just a degenerate. He called me. He was like, I'm watching this. You're watching this? No. And he's like, well, don't you have to kind of watch it? I'm like, no, I don't. Like, why are you watching this? He's like, ain't nothing else on. I'm waiting for the big game. So anyway, I told him, I said, hey, well, next year the Super Bowl is on Valentine's Day. And I say this to my mom in the car just to see the reaction. Mr. Boyd goes, I don't care. I'm watching the game. And she's like, what about love? What about us being together? What if you could tape the game? And then that started a little spat. And he's like, see, this is why I don't like when you come here. He told me to go home after that. But
well, wait till she finds out that Mother's Day is going to be the draft lottery. I mean, come on now. Sports world, what are we doing here? Draft lottery on Mother's Day, Super Bowl on Valentine's Day. Help a brother or two out.
I'll bet your dad will be really invested in that one.
ESPN, right? For next year? The
There
Super
you go.
Bowl? First
That is
time it's
true.
been on
Yeah.
the worldwide leader.
That means
which is surprising to me, but I guess that makes sense.
That means Joe Buck and Troy, right?
Yeah, wouldn't
Next
that be
year?
those two? Yeah.
Yeah.
I like Buck.
Any other thoughts from the Super Bowl yesterday that as you were just
Well, again, I
minding
mean,
your
I thought it
business?
was a dud of a game, but there is part of me, it's like, Kevin, grow up. I mean, we did watch a historical defensive performance. I mean, there is no debating that. Like, I think what Seattle did was insane. I'll go back to what I said to lead off the show. When I think about quarterbacks running for their lives in a Super Bowl, I go back to Mahomes against Tampa Bay from a few Super Bowls ago. I mean, just running for his life as Tampa Bay just dominated the line of scrimmage. And the stat that I saw after last night was Drake May was pressured double the amount Mahomes was in that Super Bowl. And that to me just really stands out. And when Drake May had an opportunity or two,
you missed him.
Call him gun shy, call him too big for the moment, call him a hurt shoulder, whatever. The runner-up to MVP just missed him. I mean, it's not like, again, Drake May had a great season. I mean, there are a lot of people that feel like if Justin Herbert doesn't get the single MVP vote, we're talking about co-MVPs, or maybe he wins it over Matthew Stafford. And yet, for him to look like that on that stage, not to say, again, he was operating in a clean pocket, but still, when you get some of those moments, that's part of playing quarterback. It's not always going to be, just a beautiful, firm pocket in front of you there. And I thought while his defense tried to keep him in it, the few moments he did get to make plays, he did not make them at all.
And, there's a couple times, too, at the same on the other side of that coin, James, there were two potential touchdowns on long passes that Sam Darnold missed, too. He had a couple of guys ready to go.
Yeah, the one to Jackson Smith and Jigba that he overthrew early in the game. I was thinking, boy, that might come back to haunt you because that was going to be a walk-in, 65, 70-yard touchdown?
He must have been, 8 yards away from any defender?
Yeah, and he made a great play to elude the pressure and just missed him. And I was like, man, that is going to haunt you. But it did not because the Patriots offense could do nothing right. But if I can give a shout-out to a one guy on the Patriots side who performed very well, I thought, Christian Gonzalez, that is what a number one cornerback looks like.
Yeah, for sure.
That dude made play after play to keep his team within striking distance, at least for the first half of that game. I mean, it could have easily been 2 or 3 touchdowns on the board that he stopped, or a couple of even more first downs that he was diving, getting a hand on the ball. I think he might have had 3 pass breakups. And that dude, I was like, man, he is so, so good because, as you all know, you make one mistake as a cornerback, and it's 6. And he was the reason why it wasn't for so long throughout that game and just didn't get enough help on the other side to have that complimentary football we always talk about. So that was tough. Overall, though, Drake May, he had a pretty bad playoffs, and I get it. This is the second year. I'm not going to say it's going to be his entire career or this is what's going to define him. But first playoff run, 7 total touchdowns, 6 passing, 1 rushing, 8 total turnovers, 4 lost fumbles, 4 interceptions, and he got sacked the most times by anybody in the playoffs. So rough go for the second-year pro. And we'll see if he gets back because I was reading some stat, Kevin, and you all about how I want to say in like the Super Bowl era, if you lose your first Super Bowl start, the only one who's made it back and won is Jalen Hurts. So you can say he's super young, but man, football's brutal. Like the people, like Mahomes and Brady are the exception to the rule. I think it's more or less you're kind of like Aaron Rodgers or Matthew Stafford or somebody where you might only get to 1.
Dan Marino probably being the poster child of that.
Yeah, I didn't know he was the youngest quarterback to ever make it to the Super Bowl.
And never got back.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I would say another thing I thought kind of watching the game, especially the second half unfold, and I do feel like this is not revisionist history or hindsight's 2020. I did feel like we kind of thought this as November moved into December, into January. When the Colts were in it, I feel like we kind of all thought, boy, isn't the AFC just wide open? Like even when New England was humming a bit, and even when Denver. Basically, New England and Denver kind of separated themselves from a standings point of view throughout the latter part of the season. And I feel like we had a conversation one morning like, wow, so the AFC goes through Drake May or Bo Nix. And again, Bo Nix got hurt, but still, I don't know if we looked at Denver even in that sort of light. And okay, who are the other teams? I mean, if you're a Buffalo fan, I don't think last night made you feel any better. You probably felt like you easily, could have been in that game or should have been in that game. And obviously Houston being the other team in the AFC to make the divisional round. So it was probably just one of the more wide open AFC years. The NFC, I felt like, I think at one point I even said to Mark as his Bears were getting the playoffs, like, it's almost like you have the NFC West and then you have the rest of the conference. And I feel a lot of people viewed the Rams as probably the second best team, even though they had to go on the road in the opening round of the playoffs, just with how the format is laid out. But I thought in general, the AFC was just probably one of the more open it's been all year long. It kind of had a bit of an Eastern Conference feel to it last year.
Yeah.
I think we looked at that playoffs and Cleveland is having this historic regular season, but it's like, well, let's look at Cleveland's track record. Nothing in the postseason. So you got to go prove it. You got to go earn it. And to James's point, it's a different animal when you get into that part of the season.
Absolutely. And speaking of basketball, going back to the Pacers for a second, we talked about the Johnny Furphy injury. Just to give some context to those just tuning in, so Johnny Furphy went up for a dunk against the Raptors.
Got the dunk.
Yeah, got the dunk. And when he landed normally and then just went down, writhing in pain, non-contact injury, and he was clutching at his right knee. So that was a pretty graphic scene, and one where when I heard about the injury, I wasn't watching the game live, but when I heard about it and I looked it up, personally, I kind of expected to see like a nasty fall or something, but it's almost a bit scarier to see just a normal dunk,
and then
normal landing, and then just down. And you saw the reaction from Rick Carlisle, from Tyrese, who looked like he immediately started praying, and it just did not look good. Now, we'll get an update on that, I'm sure, in the next couple of days or so. We'll probably get a report or something. But I did think, boy, for as much as this season has pained you, could that injury affect you for next year? Because Johnny Furphy, as you all know, has been coming along. I think that he's proven more defensively than offensively so far, but had made some promising strides this year, and there's a good chance he's going to have to miss at least part of next season as he recovers, if this is an ACL tear or something of that nature.
Yeah, the initial diagnosis, which I found odd, I believe the Pacers said right leg soreness.
Mm-hmm. That's what they put him.
Man, that's why I watched the video, because I'm like, he's clutching his knee.
Yeah, that to me is not like, when I see right leg soreness, I think cramp.
Yeah.
Honestly, or like,
Well,
whatever.
don't say that too. We thought it was leg soreness for Daniel Jones, and the thing was broken.
Well, yeah, I guess you're right on that.
Well, I look at him and go, is your knee hurt? Yes. Is it sore? Yes. All right. Right sore knee.
But, usually
right
you see if it is like an AC, like when Aaron Nesmith went down in Phoenix, I'm pretty sure it was right knee, like right away.
Yeah.
Now, again, I thought that Nesmith injury looked ugly.
Exactly.
And he missed, a month and a half.
Yeah,
so that's, I think, where you are, fingers crossed. But the Furphy one, I saw someone tweet, and I'm getting more into my IU background here, but I saw someone tweet, it reminded them of the Maurice Creek injury. You're going back to the Tom Crean era at Indiana, but it did have that kind of feel, just how Furphy reacted to it. So Pacers are in New York right now. They will have a back-to-back Knicks and Nets here tomorrow, Wednesday. That wraps up.
Can I say this real quick? The Nets-Pacers game? Boy.
All-Star break.
The amount of tanking we will see in that game.
Well, and you know who they got after the All-Star break? I want to say it's Wizards twice. I mean, if
Anthony Davis ain't suiting up again this year. I know you saw that report.
If Ethan Thompson and Cam Jones have siblings, they might get in the game for the Pacers.
I think
coming up here.
On the standings,
Cam Thomas is the Milwaukee Buck now.
On the standings page, they start listing them as Indiana Pacers /boom.
Hey,
Call that
for real.
the year.
It's about to get nasty.
They lost both their games, the Pacers did, that is, since the trade. And again, for those curious about Ivica Zubac and when we might see him, Rick Carlisle already waved that yellow caution flag pretty aggressively. The exact quote was something to the effect, well, first off, he mentioned an ankle issue that Zubac was playing through with the Clippers, and so don't expect him anytime soon. So technically, I think physical past today, he could play as early as tomorrow. I believe the Clippers have already come out and said Benedict Mathurin and Isaiah Jackson will play tomorrow in their first game. So Zubac and Kobe Brown, and by the way, Kobe Brown might all of a sudden play now because of this Furphy news. They could play as early as tomorrow, but again, Carlisle threw out the ankle injury, and then his quote was like, he basically was like, he's a guy that's played 95% of his games. I'm assuming one of the reasons is he's always raring to go through those things, but that's not going to be an option here.
Both guys.
And that last part, just think about that Carlisle quote.
Both guys, Ivica Zubac. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
When he says, that's not going to be an option here, I had to laugh. So, yeah. I don't know if that's raining. Clearly it's not here, but that's not going to be an option here. AKA, you're not going to be allowed to play it through anything.
They both did arrive in town. They both put videos up saying, I'm here. Can't wait to get going.
Hey, Nick fans, just landed here. Looking forward to seeing you guys, and let's get to work.
What's up, Indy fans? Just made it here to Indianapolis. Excited to get to work. Happy to be here. See y'all soon.
How soon, though? That's the question. Probably Kobe Brown before Zubac.
Say Kobe Brown, you can get out there as long as you don't play like Kobe Bryant.
That's the Pacers. As I mentioned a moment ago, in the last hour, second worst record currently at 13-40.
I should get on tankathon.com right now and do the simulator. Let's see what pick we get this morning. Is anybody else doing this? Any listeners out there? Do you go on tankathon.com like your boy and you simulate the lottery every morning? You got to start the day off on a high or low note. Let's see. I just simulated it, and the Pacers ended up with the number 6 pick, and it goes to L.A.
That stinks. Do it again.
I know.
Just keep doing it.
Vibes off like that.
Just keep doing it
until
you
you
get what you want.
And it got 6 pick again, Mark.
Kevin,
I'm not liking this.
James, you better keep going. We're not tolerating this.
But that's essentially what they did. It's a coin flip at the moment to end up with the top 4 pick or not. And as I told you all last week, I was reaching out to people behind the scenes, and one of the reactions I got was, it's going to be a very anxious night come lottery ping pong ball day.
Mother's Day night.
There you go. Mama?
Hug your moms.
Not now.
One thing to note, too, about trading for Zubats, he is, I think, a big reason why the Pacers had to give up the amount that they did is his contract. Very favorable. Under contract for 3 more years. If you look at their starting 5, everyone's under contract for 2 more seasons after this year. So if you want to look at it, based off the trading of the first-round picks, this is probably, you're looking at your core, I think, for the next 2 years. I don't see a lot of wiggle room. Obviously, if they get the first-round pick, I should throw in that caveat. That could change some things. But for the most part, this is the group. And so that's why, that Furphy injury does come into play here. He could be a key developmental piece in terms of, playing in that second unit. Obviously, you need a little bit more scoring punch in your second unit with losing Matherin. And, again, you can get that here if the ping pong balls fall your way. But this is your group. And contractually, this is who you got here. So that is the reminder of that trade.
I've just done that lottery simulation half a dozen times while you guys were talking. Indiana's either 5th or 6th every time.
Oh, kick rocks. I just did the first time. They got the 3rd overall pick.
There you go.
I've got... I just got the 4th, too. So you can do this all day long.
On a more positive note, I have enjoyed Halliburton. He does the documentary with his personal photographer and videographer, and he puts out little updates. He put out one, I believe, yesterday. It's about 20 minutes long, showing his progress through the Achilles tear. And so if you're looking for some positivity, I would encourage all Pacers fans at 10:01, fire that up and take a look at Halliburton getting back to, hopefully, all-star, all-NBA form. So I'm excited for that. And that dude, man, he's been through a lot. And if anybody can understand the injury nature, I thought his reaction was very poignant to what we saw from Johnny Furphy. So prayers up for that dude. And honestly, best case scenario, like if it isn't a major injury, hey, sit down, brother. You ain't got to play again this year. We just want you to be healthy enough to, get going when it matters the most.
All right, let's check it down, Mark. Let everybody know what's going on today.
The Morning Checkdown, brought to you by the Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships. March starts here. The Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships with NCAA tournament bids on the line. March 8th through 10th. Tickets and more at horizonleague.com/Indy.
Super Bowl is in the books. Super Bowl 60, that is. Seattle over the New England Patriots 29-13 in a game that is never really in question. The Seattle defense was tremendous, forcing 3 turnovers. One of them was this pick 6 to put the game away in the second half.
And they bring up pressure as well. And May get a knockdown as Witherspoon came under pressure. And Uchenna Nwosu is going the distance for a touchdown.
That would end up sealing the deal. 29-13. Patriots did get one more touchdown before it was done, but they missed the 2-point conversion. Kenneth Walker, game MVP, the running back for the Seahawks, 135 yards rushing. Did not get a touchdown. Had one called back with a holding call late in the third quarter, I think it was, but they couldn't get him into the end zone. That was maybe the only thing they were missing yesterday.
Between that Kenneth Walker called back touchdown and like the miss to JSN, I'm like, that game could have gotten really out of hand.
That is
true. They not have had a couple things go right. So the Patriots kind of fortunate that game wasn't a complete rout.
Sam Darnold threw for 202 yards and a touchdown, but we had talked about this last hour. I'll get your reaction, James. How about Seattle only having 4 yards more than New England in total yards on offense?
Yeah, I looked that up at the end of the game because I honestly was looking it up to add to our live blog coverage and say something along the lines of this is the least amount of yards the Patriots ever had in Super Bowl. And I was like, well, so much for that. It was pretty even, but the game itself was not, which is probably why you can't, obviously try to observe those types of things through a box score. That game was never really close.
Most of them on those last 2 touchdown drives that they did have, Kevin, with the pick 6 in between those 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, wasted calories, empty calories.
Something like
How do
that.
they say it?
We were talking a moment ago about the Pacers. They await word later today on Johnny Furphy and his right knee. Came up lame after a dunk in Toronto yesterday. Pacers lose the game 122-104. Scotty Barnes had 25 points, 14 rebounds. Former Indiana star Trace Jackson Davis in his first game with Toronto had 10 points and 10 rebounds. But we find out, I guess, later today just how bad the Johnny Furphy injury is.
Hoping for the best.
All right, so we'll keep an eye on that for you. Also waiting for Ivica Zubac and Kobe Brown to enter the lineup. I would imagine Brown gets in there way before Zubac does, Kevin?
Yeah, that would probably be my best guess. Again, hopefully Rick Carlisle will join us tomorrow. Back-to-back for the Pacers before the All-Star break. Tuesday, Wednesday, at Knicks, at Nets. So right there in the Big Apple for those two. 7:30 tips for both of them. And then off to L.A. for Pascal Siakam for the All-Star game.
All right. Over the weekend, it was Purdue holding off Oregon 68-64. Did I see, because I didn't see this whole game, did Oregon have a lead late in the second half in that game before Purdue finally put it away? Maybe I missed that part.
I'll be honest, I did not catch much of that game. I was on family duty.
Real late. Yeah. I mean, that game was on edge.
Maybe 30 or 40 seconds to go, something
Fletcher
like that?
Loyer had to step into 3 there late to save Purdue. Yeah. Oregon played one of their better games. And, yeah, I think if you're a Purdue fan, as encouraged you felt leaving the Maryland game, you don't feel that way after the Oregon game. So the gauntlet is now here for Purdue. It's enough of this. I mean, it's at Nebraska. It's at Iowa. I think they've got Illinois in there, the rematch with Indiana, Michigan State, Michigan. I mean, it's just a absolute brutal stretch here for Purdue. And reminder, Indiana plays tonight. They also survived with one field goal in the last 10 minutes of that game there, maybe a favorable whistle. But they got Oregon tonight. That is 8:30 in Bloomington, 11.5-point favorite, and the 50-year anniversary. They'll honor the 1976 Hoosiers at that game.
All right, and you mentioned Purdue at Nebraska. That one will come tomorrow night. In women's college basketball, Shea Chesky had 29 points, and Indiana got their third straight win. This time a 74-59 victory over Purdue. They've won 13 straight at home against Purdue in that series. At the Olympics, we all know by now, Lindsey Vonn crashed out, broke a leg, had nothing to do with the torn ACL. But she tangled with a gate. That happens sometimes. She just couldn't quite make that turn, and she is done at 41 years of age with this Olympics, certainly. You would think maybe for all Olympics. But also that opened the door for Breezy Johnson to get the gold medal in the women's downhill. So USA did get a gold medal there. They won the team event in figure skating, and so they have got 2 gold medals now behind Norway's 3 golds. Italy has the most medals overall right now with 6 bronze, 2 silvers, and a gold. Also, 40-year-old, did you see this, Kevin? Right up your alley. 40-year-old Austrian snowboarder Benjamin Karl won his second Olympic gold medal, this one in the parallel giant slalom, but it just started taking clothes off till he got down to his bare chest.
Oh, sign me up.
Just first the helmet came off.
Was he the guy on the field last night?
No, he was not the guy. Could have been. Woo! Yeah, first the jacket came off, then the outer garment came off, then the T-shirt came off, and then a big flex to celebrate his gold medal.
We've been watching mixed curling in the Bowen household. Maddie's obsessed with the figure skating.
That would be about the same in my household,
Evan
too.
and Madison, maybe, the figure skating couple. It's very impressive. I just laugh imagining me out there trying to do that.
I am just amazed that anybody can do the things they do on skates. It's insane to me what they can do on skates.
Skeleton or luge?
Skeleton is a lot more.
I've been your stomach or your back?
I've been told the skeleton is more dangerous.
What's the one where you have like another person on top of you? Which one's that one?
Boy,
don't look at me like that. I've seen
boy, you set yourself up for that one, man. I'm not touching that.
Where's your sound effect on that one?
I really don't know what you're talking
Tandem
about.
skeleton. Let's
Tandem
see how that
skeleton,
works.
yeah.
All right.
I'm gonna find it on
Happy
the Valentine's
Valentine's
By the way,
Day to the Daytons.
Did you catch the less than impressive
Man.
performance by Team USA in the bobsled, the 4-man bobsled yesterday? Did you see that, Mark?
Where they're falling down, that that would look like how our foursome would do on the bobsled.
Yeah, someone tagged us in
Was
that and
not
said this is
good.
what the show would look like. I'm like, wait a second. I'd be the guy in the sled going down and leaving the rest of you guys behind.
We did watch Cool Runnings in the Bowen household on Friday.
Hey, nice.
How'd the girls like that?
Well, yeah, Earl,
I was going to say.
I don't think Nellie's paying attention to that as a 3-month-old.
Well, Rosie then.
Yeah, she was locked in.
It's doubles luge. That seems like a prank that got out of control. No, you lay on top of him and go down a hill.
That did look like a mistake. What's the other one? Like they're going down a slope, but it's built in like, I don't know, like jumps or something. I thought it was like AI, and I was like, well, no, they're supposed to do this. So I don't know. Winter Olympics, I don't know none of the sports besides like the half pipe and a couple other things. So it's always kind of like a learning experience.
The thing is, just like skateboarding too, but the half pipe, the amount of air and the distance those people are off the ground with no net or any protective device underneath them while they're doing all the crazy things they're doing is insane to me. Crazy
stuff.
They're like 40, 50, 60 feet up in the air. Can't go well, but they know what they're doing, and the Olympics continue, and we'll keep you updated throughout the day here at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Kevin, anything else you want to throw in before we head off to break?
Shout out to Miami, Ohio. The Red Hawks, they are undefeated. They won at Marshall over the weekend. So Travis Steele and company, they do not play until Friday. He's actually going to join us on the show Wednesday. I don't know how much our audience realized it. First off, Miami, Ohio's got a ton of Indiana flavor on their coaching staff and then their roster. Pete Suter and Justin Kirby from Carmel and Fishers respectively. But Travis Steele has got a ton of Indiana background to him. So he's going to join us coming up. And as early as tonight, guys, they might be the last undefeated left. Arizona at Kansas. You can actually hear that on our airwaves coming up tonight, 9 o'clock. Indiana, Oregon will be over on WIBC. So big game tonight in the Big 12, Arizona at Kansas.
I have a Colts question for you all after the break.
All right. We'll get to that as we continue next on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Indoor and outdoor concrete. That is Galaxy Concrete Coatings. When we say that, think garages, basements, patios, porches, sidewalks. Online, it's very simple. GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com. There you'll see plenty of pictures and styles that I think will meet your home or your workplace. They also do workplaces as well. You know, for our home, it was 100 years old. So I was thinking to myself, boy, is it really going to find something that makes sense? We did. The Jupiter style made a lot of sense for us. So it was a new sidewalk, new front porch a couple summers ago. Tyler and Preston on site. Very efficient. About 24-hour process. And we're thrilled with the results. Hell, it takes shoveling right now to actually see the results. But we do, do like that. And we're very pleased with how things have turned out here and held up. Manufacturers upgrade the warranty from 15 years to lifetime. So that's reassuring as well. Again, it's indoor and outdoor concrete. It's Galaxy Concrete Coatings. Garages, basements, patios, porches, sidewalks. Contact them today, GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com.
listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Good morning and welcome into a Monday, the Fan Morning Show, along with Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, Mark Dykton. I'm Jeff Rickard, talking about the Super Bowl yesterday. But when last we left you, James Boyd teased us with a potential Colts question on this chilly Monday morning.
Yes, so I was listening to Sauce Gardner on Radio Row, and he was talking about his experience with the Colts. And one of the things that he shared for the first time publicly is that the day after his calf injury, I want to say this was against Houston late in the season, he got to the training room at 7:02. Oh, actually, Mark, if you have the audio, just play that, and then I'll explain the rest of it. If you got it queued up.
Yeah, hold on. Let me pull it up real quick.
All right. Well, in the meantime, the gist of it is that he went to the training room, got there a little bit late, and Shane Steichen didn't kind of check him in the moment. He waited to the team meeting to address it. And here is Sauce explaining.
Hold on. You got to kill 3 doors.
Are you doing okay back there this morning?
Hold on. Calm down over there.
Man, you done threw me a couple of turnovers here. Mark,
you're poetic about my
you're my point guard, okay?
All right, we're ready.
Are you sure?
Yes.
If not, you can put on the bench, brother.
If I'm wrong, then Kevin and I are doing doubles luge in a couple weeks.
Why'd you bring Kevin into it?
Because I'm staring right at him.
Wow.
Right. This is Sauce Gardner.
I remember the first day. This is a story I didn't expect to tell this story, but I had messed my calf up.
Right.
And I had to be in the training room for 7 a.m. I get in the training room like 7:02. I'm like 7 a.m., 7:02.
Yeah,
it's just
What's
me
the big deal? You're getting
anyway.
treatment, right?
I walk in. Coach Shane, he's like, "What's up, Sauce?" I'm like, "What's good, Coach?" Boom. Fast forward to the team meeting after that training room session.
Right.
Coach say, "Sauce, you was late to the training room today. You wanna? Can you tell us why you were late in front of the whole team?"
Whoa!
Everybody.
Wow.
I was looking. I'm like, oh, so you didn't want to tell me that you was going? Okay, right. But then I'm like, okay, that was his way of showing me how things are there, and I had to get with the program. Like, all right, if 7 a.m. training room, it's not just all right. This is a training room. I can get there a couple minutes late. It's all right. I had to be there around 6:55.
It's like a meeting or anything.
It's like a meeting.
Yeah.
So they have it's a very unique process there.
So my question is, after he shared the story, does this say more about Sauce or the Colts? The fact that, one, he was late to his treatment and shared it, didn't have to tell us. And then, two, the way Shane Steichen went about addressing it.
But there you go. Might say more about the Jets than anything else. Maybe that's just the way they did things.
Yeah, when he calls it a unique process at the end, I'm like, unique process of showing up on time?
Yeah.
I don't know how unique that is. Yeah, James, I feel like you saw two sides of it when that clip got played kind of late last week of some people are like, oh, wow, you trade, 2 first-round picks for a guy that's not doing that. And, well, Shane Steichen showing great accountability, in front of the team, make an example of, quote-unquote, a star player there. So I feel like you saw both sides of it. I don't get the impression that this is like like Sauce Gardner this is a routine thing with him, just to be clear, I guess, on that aspect of it. But, there is part of me when the DeForest Buckner trade happened, part of the thought the Colts had with that Buckner trade is this is a guy that defines everything that we want our football players to be about.
Right.
Whereas this example, and again, I don't want to act like this is Sauce on a routine basis, but that aspect of it is not what they, it's not just you are paying a guy big money. It's like, no, we also are trading away precious draft picks, plurally, which you don't see very often in the NFL, for that guy there. So I don't want to make too much of it, but I am probably a little bit with this stance in the Sauce Gardner trade. I just don't think the top of the organization really examined all the tentacles to the trade. And I'll continue to say that. And it's more so from when you make that trade, You're saying Daniel Jones is a side of the building, unquestioned franchise quarterback. You're saying your GM and your head coach have earned the right to be here long-term, past this season. And their resumes, and particularly the GM's resume, deserve that nada. So I don't think, and I think it's more on Carly Ursay-Gordon than anything. I think she looked at it and just thought, oh, well, corner hasn't really been a position we found. Here's a young corner in his prime. Let's do it. And it's like, wait, well, actually, the man pulling the trigger on the trade, if this now is a positive light and him keeping his job, hell yeah, he's going to do it. And clearly it was.
I also remind everybody that when that trade happened in the middle of the year, I didn't get a ton of feedback of people that just hated that. Why did we do this? There was a lot of, okay, I get it, or even some enthusiasm.
Man, I felt like, I don't know.
I guess what I'm saying is overall, it felt like more people were either into it, were like, okay, I don't hate it, than there were people who actually hated it.
Yeah. And at the time, to your point, Jeff, the team was good. They were winning. And then I think after the Sauce debut with the Falcons, and you saw what he was able to do, I was thinking to myself, even not from a fan standpoint, from a reporter standpoint, boy, this could be something if they get all their pieces together. And then you're going into the bye week, and at the time you're thinking you'll get more whole after the bye, and you start thinking, okay, you get Travarius Ward back, you get DeForest Buckner back, you're cooking with gas. And that just didn't really materialize the way you wanted it to. But, yeah, the tentacles thing is real, Kevin. And I think it's one of those things where we might not see the effects of it so soon. But when we look up and 2-3 years from now, we might be saying, hey, is Sauce Gardner still here? Is he still an all-pro caliber cornerback? And was it just the right move at the right time? It was very aggressive for Carly in her first full season as the principal owner, and it could be one that she regrets, quite frankly, when it comes to the 2026 season. I'm very curious to see how it all plays out, mainly because the crux of your season is banking on a guy coming off an Achilles tear who gets hurt every year of his career, more or less. He's been in the league 7 years, and only one of them has he played a full season. Now, granted, one of those years he also got benched and things like that, but just durability-wise, it is more likely than not, based off the statistics that we have, that Daniel Jones will not play a full season than he would play a full season. So that is very concerning to me when you think about trying to get out of a monstrous AFC conference.
Well, and I think you can make the apples-to-apples comparison for the other trade we just saw here in our market. The Ivica Zubats trade, from a magnitude standpoint, is very similar to the Sauce Gardner trade in terms of the amount of draft capital you've given up. I don't want to make a Mather and A.D. Mitchell comp, just yet. But, again, just the trade package that was sent out, I think there are a lot of similarities to it. And I would argue that Kevin Pritchard, Rick Carlisle, and Tyrese Halliburton as a franchise player, they've earned the right for that trade to be possible. You got to the doorstep of winning a championship. From a general manager standpoint, Pritchard has been brilliant in executing these trades, much more so than he has been drafting, frankly. And, of course, Carlisle is a Hall of Fame head coach. Those aspects to getting to the Eastern Conference Finals, followed by getting to Game 7, that is past pedigree, recent pedigree, that the Colts haven't sniffed. So, to me, it's just very too different. You earn the right, I think, to position yourself as a franchise to make those trades, because there are risks that are there with both of the moves. I don't want to say the Pacers' risks are not, nothing, but you also, I think, earn the right to be able to do those things.
All right, coming up in a moment. Were you not entertained yesterday? We'll give you the latest update that we have on the Pacers and their health, and also get to some fan texts for the first time this morning. Your thoughts on the Super Bowl yesterday and things that we've been talking about this morning. It's all coming your way next. 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Good morning. Hopefully it starts to warm up a little bit this week. Did I see this week 40s are in the forecast? What are we going to do?
The great melt-off is going to happen.
Yeah. It'll be like that snowboarder at the Olympics. We'll all just start peeling off layers until we get to bare chests, and we're good to go.
Kevin would
sounds like you really enjoyed that, Jeff.
I just thought it was funny. I don't remember seeing that kind of a celebration.
That's true. Granted, I don't know what I would do if I was the best in the world at anything.
Latest comes later today on the health of Johnny Furphy. He left last night's game, or I guess yesterday in the afternoon's game against Toronto with a right knee injury. They said it was sore at the time, but man, he goes out in a wheelchair, and there were a lot of concerned faces on the Pacers sideline. It looked like a lot more than a sore leg.
Yeah, just got to wait to see what the scans say at this point and hope for the best. So prayers up for Mr. Furphy, who I think is one of the more intriguing prospects you have moving forward as the Pacers kind of redo their roster a bit.
Anything else? Your thoughts now that you've thought about the trade for a couple of days now with Zubats and Kobe Brown coming over and obviously losing Benedict Mathurin. Now that it's settled in a little bit, any other thoughts, Kevin?
Yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned a little bit earlier, the fact that everybody's under contract now for 2 full years after the next 2 months, because at this point it's just getting to the finish line here of this season, and frankly, it's nobody else get hurt. And I'm curious what that Furphy injury will do just to open up eyes to everybody else within that organization, even more the prominent guys. So, that's probably something that I have thought about. When you look at teams that are going to tank, James pointed out earlier, the Wizards have already shut down Anthony Davis. I want to say their pick, and I believe the Jazz's pick, are both top 8 protected. So you've got other teams that are, in the protect, and again, top 8, that's, even more than what you have, here with the 1 through 4 on the protection. Mark, do you have that Halliburton audio on the Zubats trade? Tyrese Halliburton, he's made some of the Amazon appearances throughout the year with Taylor Rooks and that crew. I think it was Blake Griffin and Steve Nash, I believe, the other night. But this was Tyrese Halliburton on the Ivica Zubats trade.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. Playing against a guy like Zoo, he obviously poses a lot of different threats. I'm looking forward to playing with him. It'll be different for me, a guy who rebounds the ball so well. And then, defense is trying to cross match or switch. I don't know if he'll be able to do that as much with Zoo on the floor. So I'm looking forward to it. We've talked a little bit. He's not with the team yet, but I think we're going to have a long summer and a lot of time to, grow our relationship. And, I think it can be really exciting.
Fans are absolutely going to adore. They will be obsessed with Zubats' toughness and rebounding because it's the thing that arguably this team has missed the most over the last X amount of years, particularly at that position. I think you hear Tyrese there. It's a little nerdy, but if you switch, now all of a sudden a small is trying to block out Zubats. And you could do that with Turner. How many times did teams put smalls on Turner and said, we're going to live with it? Turner's not going to take advantage of it.
Yeah,
you put a small on Zubats, that's mouse in the house.
I was going to say it's barbecue chicken, as Shaq would say. I think when you look at the different styles of centers, Miles was stretching the floor, shooting a 3-ball, and doing it at a pretty high rate, and then giving you the over-the-top rim protection, where Zubats is more of if you want a guy who can give you a chance against Joel Embiid, against Jokic. I'm not saying he can guard these guys one-on-one, but body-wise, he can hold up a little bit better, offers more stability there. And then, like you said, cleaning up the glass is what he does in his sleep. And then, again, to nerd out a little bit, the cross-matching and switching, I think it's twofold because not only will it hurt you as the other team if you are switching and you have a small trying to box out Zubats, but also Tyrese Halliburton, let's not forget, is very unselfish. He'll just dump it in. If you switch on a pick and roll and Zubats end up with a guy who's 6'2" on him, he's going to throw it to him and trust him to just go up and score on the guy. And I don't know if you can say the same thing about Miles Turner all the time. That's one of the more frustrating things about his game, especially when we got to the finals with OKC, is that the back-to-the-basket game was not there, and the low-post game wasn't as polished as you would like. Now, granted, Zubats isn't shooting threes, but, hey, play the strengths.
All right, coming up in a moment, we will check in with one of our favorites, John Wertheim. Last we talked to him, he had just got done doing a piece on Kurt Cignetti in Indiana for 60 Minutes. He covers all things in the world of sports. We'll talk to him next on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Hey, it's Mark, and we've been dealing with the cold and the snow, but there looks to be some good news this week as the temperature looks to be climbing above freezing, which means the great melt-off is near, and that means you can do a full reevaluation of your HVAC system in the near future, and that means you got to get Love Heating and Air Conditioning on the phone and in your home today. Give them a call, 317-353-2141, or you can check them out online at love-hvac.com. Whichever you choose, you can talk to a customer service rep, set up a house call, see all the products and services they provide, and read customer reviews, go over financial options if you're ready to take that next step. And you can also just do an evaluation, whether it's a tune-up or a full-blown replacement like I had to do a few years ago. They will take care of you. John and Chris Love, they're fourth-generation owners, and they'll make sure you're a satisfied customer, just like the Dykton household has and will be going forward. Serving Indianapolis and Central Indiana, they are family-owned and operated for over a century. 317-353-2141 is where you can find them on the phone or love-hvac.com online.
quiere soltar, no quiere amarrarse, solo quiere.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Happy Monday. Welcome into the Fan Morning Show. We've been talking about the Super Bowl and the state of the Pacers all morning long, and a little bit with an eye ahead on the Indianapolis Colts. In the meantime, still basking in the glory of an Indiana National Championship in football, and looking back at college basketball, the last undefeated team, obviously, the Indiana Hoosiers back in '76. And a guy who knows all about all those things joining us now on the Payless Liquors hotline, John Wertheim from 60 Minutes and Sports Illustrated and other publications, joins us this morning. How you doing, John? Did you survive the Super Bowl last night and all the celebrations?
Just barely. Not the best football game I've ever seen, but no, I'm smiling here. I think this is the first time the Bad Bunny has introed the 1976 Indiana Hoosiers. This is a new setup.
Again, the great John Wertheim is with us here on the Payless Liquors hotline. John, first off, thank you again for coming on back after the 60 Minutes piece, but we wanted to double back with you because I really enjoyed, it's been a few months now, but your article in Sports Illustrated about the real reason the 76 Hoosiers are still college basketball's last perfect team, I thought was beautifully done. For those that have not followed along, tonight that team will be honored inside of Assembly Hall at halftime of the game, or I think maybe pregame and halftime with Oregon here. And when I was reading your story, I was struck by just a ton of things, but I kind of want to start here. Could you share with our audience when you approached Kent Benson about how he wanted to chat with you about looking back on the 50-year anniversary?
Well, I had reached out to Kent Benson and had a number for him and left a voicemail, and he called me about half an hour later, but he had Bob Wilkerson on the phone with him, figured out how to patch him in because he didn't want to be a glory hog. He didn't want to leave any of his team here. 50 years later, these guys in their early 70s, and their instinct is still to include their teammate in any whiff of glory. And I was like, that pretty much sums it up right there.
John, I enjoyed the piece as well. And one of the things I still nerd out about is the career of Quinn Buckner beyond just IU. I mean, he's from Illinois. That's where I grew up. And he went undefeated in high school, goes undefeated in college, and goes on to the NBA, wins a championship, wins a gold medal. Like, how many guys can say they've had a career like that?
Coached in the NBA, became a broadcaster. Now, now a trustee for IU. No, it's really a remarkable career with Concio. And at some point, you get enough data points with all the winning that maybe this guy's onto something. But no, Quinn. I mean, that was the funny thing about this team, though. I mean, there was no real star. There was no kind of, go look at your team. It's Kareem with UCLA or Patrick Ewing with Georgetown. I mean, there was no kind of signature star really. But there were a lot of guys like Quinn Buckner they were versatile. They'd play good defense. They could, score 20 points one night and 0 the next, and it wouldn't matter. And it was kind of a team of Quinn Buckners and not one sort of towering star.
So to follow up on that, John, what fascinates me about this is that, every year we get to this point in the season, and maybe not even this far into the season, there is a team that is still undefeated. But do you think it's possible? Like, for example, we have, Arizona and I believe Kansas tonight, and Arizona's still undefeated. But every time anybody ever asks me, oh, can it happen? After it didn't happen with Kentucky probably not a few years ago at this point, about a decade ago at this point, I've given up. I just think that it's too hard to do. So, one, do you think it's possible? And do you think that's why the IU undefeated team continues to be just this kind of like legendary folklore-esque run in the sport?
Yeah, I just think it's hard for any variety of reasons. I mean, one of them is just, this team played together for 3 and 4 years, and nobody thought about transferring and
no
taking
NIL?
the NIL bag. Yeah, exactly. No one went in the portal because they got more minutes and a few thousand more dollars at NC State. Eventually, probably some team will put together an undefeated just as a matter of probability. And you're right, there have been some close calls. What was it? I think Gonzaga a few years ago, maybe during COVID. Yeah, like that Kentucky team with Anthony Davis. But I just think it's really hard. There's so many variables. There's so much travel. There's so much pressure. There's, players sifting in and out. I think there was just such stability that these guys all got used to each other. They didn't worry that their teammate wasn't going to pass them the ball. They took so many variables out of the equation that you have today.
Again, that's the voice of John Wertheim, and he wrote a great piece on SI, the real reason the 76 Hoosiers are still college basketball's last perfect team. And John, one of the anecdotes in there that made me laugh about, you compare college modern era to 50 years ago, the story of Quinn Buckner and Scott May moving back into the dorms. For our audience that haven't had a chance to read your piece yet, could you share a little bit on that?
So Scott May and Quinn Buckner are rising seniors. Again, you're right. You sort of refract that against the landscape today when, starters at Power 4 schools have their choice of car, So anyway, they decided they were going to move off campus. The reason they were going to move off campus was presumably because it was going to be a quieter, they could focus on their studies and their basketball, but they didn't tell Coach Knight before they did it. And apparently he was very upset with Scott May and Quinn Buckner, so much so they moved back into the dorms. So here, these All-Americans, these guys are a few months away from being the equivalent of lottery picks. They're going to be stars on this undefeated team, and they're living down the hall from, the guy, the bassoon player and the sociology major in the dorms as seniors. Different times.
John Wertheim joining us here on the Payless Liquors hotline. What'd you learn about that team that you didn't know before?
Some of it was just granular. I didn't realize how many. There were some really close calls, and I also didn't realize. Growing up in Bloomington, you sort of always heard the stories, but I didn't realize how good that team was the previous season, and how close this came to 2 undefeated seasons. But yeah, I didn't kind of. You sort of knew the statistics, and you knew 76 team and Scott May and Quinn Buckner, and they had, the nets, those necklaces, but I didn't realize how many close calls there were during the season.
Again, tonight, 76 team will be honored the 50-year anniversary down there inside of Assembly Hall. I believe Pat Knight will be representing his father down there, and then you'll get a lot of the former players will be in the building, Indiana and Oregon, 8:30 tip. John, when you think about sports as a whole, you obviously have written about a ton of sports, and you mentioned in the piece, we've had, I think you said 9 tennis players have completed the career Grand Slam since then. You've had 4 Triple Crown horses. We've had, I think it was 7 unassisted triple plays in baseball. Like, you pointed out all these other things that we've had since then. Do you think, and again, we've got Arizona, Miami, Ohio sitting there right now, but do you think this will be a stat a la DiMaggio 56-game hit streak? Do you put it up there with anything else across all sports about kind of the untouchable Cal Ripken streak? Certainly goes up there for games played. Do you put it on that level with anything else?
I'm starting to. The weird thing was, before Indiana, a bunch of teams had done this. UCLA just a few years before. I think they were the 16th.
Uh-oh.
I think you just, isn't that crazy? I think this is, with every passing year, it gets more and more impressive, and you sort of look at everything in college basketball now, and I think it's going to be really hard to go wire to wire for any team again.
No question about that. John, thanks again for joining us this morning. You're always very gracious with your time. We appreciate that. Have fun. Enjoy the rest of this basketball season, and we'll see if these Hoosiers can get hot and strike lightning here in the next couple of weeks.
There you go. Double national champions. Always good talking to you guys. Thanks.
Thanks very much. There might be some work to be done before you can say double national champions, James. They got a ways to go in basketball.
Yeah, I'm not putting that bet down.
One other thing that he noted in the piece was how all 5 of the starters live in Indiana now and have called Indiana home. May and Buckner, I believe it's Bloomington for both. Kent Benson out in Newcastle. I think Bobby Wilkerson maybe in Anderson, and then Tom Abernathy in Carmel. So that's kind of the unique, another unique aspect to it. But really well done piece. And I know for Indiana fans out there, you might want to DVR tonight if you don't want to stay up for it, because they will honor that 76 team. Again, the 50-year anniversary coming up tonight inside of Assembly Hall.
I'm looking at the last, 10, 12 games that Arizona has played as they are sitting there at 23-0 right now. They had the very close game against BYU that you had talked about quite a bit, Kevin, 86-83. The last single-digit win that they had before that, Central Florida, they won by 7. They beat Arizona State by 7. But for the most part, they've been whomping people, man. It'll be interesting to see what Arizona could do, but I can't imagine once you get to a conference tournament and then the NCAA tournament, it's hard for me to imagine this team going undefeated all the way.
Yeah, you almost want to just get the loss out the way now. That way you don't get all the hype. 'Cause I think that's part of it too, Kevin. It's just changed. Like if you're still undefeated in today's era, you're gonna hear about it just so much more. Like obviously, even back in 1976, but you hear about it in the newspaper, or you read about it. Now it's like every single question, every press conference, every TikTok, every video you see is going to be about you. So I think there's some pros and cons to that. And tonight, I think it's the best player in the country and Darren Peterson versus the best team in Arizona.
Well, in one of the marquee venues of college basketball.
Oh, absolutely.
Inside of Allen Fieldhouse. And honestly, look at Arizona's just rest of February. I mean, the Big 12 as a whole, the rest of this month, you could make the argument it might be more difficult for Arizona to run the table the rest of February than it will be to win 6 games on a neutral floor in March and April, especially when we consider the round 1 and 2 games probably aren't going to be that much of a challenge for them. A reminder, Miami of Ohio, again, still undefeated. We'll have their head coach, Travis Steele, join us coming up on Wednesday. This is a guy that's got plenty of ties to the state. Actually played for Todd Licklider back in high school at Danville, a former assistant at Ben Davis back in the day, former assistant at Indiana back in the day. Was it Xavier? I think some people will remember that name from his Xavier days. He's got plenty of Butler ties as well. And the Miami Ohio Redhawks are undefeated, and they've got some Indiana flavor, not only to their coaching staff, but also to their roster as well.
Looking at Purdue and what they've got left, too, you mentioned in the last hour, Kevin, but the next 5 games for Purdue.
It's a gauntlet.
Man, they play at number 9 Nebraska. They play at Iowa. Then they come home to play Michigan and Indiana. And then Michigan State, another home game as well. But that 5 games start to tell you at this point in the season, Kevin, kind of where they're at heading into conference play.
Well, again,
tournament play.
Saturday is a very poor effort from them against Oregon. I get that Nate Biddle is back for Oregon, and he changes some things up as a big guy, but still, a slew of turnovers inside of your own building. And, Purdue's a massive favorite in that game. I thought it was north of 20, and yet you had to survive. I mean, Fletcher Lawyer has to hit a huge shot there for you to get out of there, and you had to withstand some Oregon misses to get out of there. So, this is going to be quite the 2-3 week run here for Purdue. Indiana's got a little bit of a similar run after tonight, after Oregon, not quite as daunting. But again, for Indiana, it was just vital that they win that one on Saturday. That would have been a poor home loss on their home floor. And I mean, how many times do you see a team have one field goal in the final 10 minutes of a game and win it?
Not often. Not very often. James, before we get to the check down, too, a lot of people thinking about you this morning. So you got that going on. We have this one from Hoosier 97. Said that they were thinking of you as Jordan Hudson was spotted in public with Bill Belichick wearing an Orchids of Asia Day Spa shirt. That was the name of the place that Robert Kraft was tied to in his little massage gate going on there.
I'll take a pass on that one.
Jordan, where'd you get that shirt from?
And then Dave from Beech Grove wondering, hey, did he see you at Harry and Izzy's for lunch last Thursday?
He did not. I didn't have it. I don't got it like that just yet, brother. One day.
All right. Now that we've gotten all that out of the way, Mark, check it down.
The Morning Checkdown, brought to you by the Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships. March starts here. The Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships with NCAA tournament bids on the line. March 8th through 10th. Tickets and more at horizonleague.com/Indy.
We were all watching Super Bowl 60 yesterday as the Seattle Seahawks knocked off the New England Patriots 29-13 in a game that they led throughout. Defense tended to dominate for the Seahawks until very late. Kenneth Walker, the game MVP, 135 yards rushing in the game. Also, we saw Uchenna Nwosu put it away with a 45-yard pick six in the fourth quarter after New England maybe started to find some offense. And one of the most surprising stats for me after watching that game was that New England was only outgained by Seattle 4 yards, 335 yards of total offense for the Seahawks, 331 for New England. I would never have guessed that when I started to look that up.
No, not at all. But that's why you got to watch the games. And the more dominant team was clearly the Seahawks. And shout out to Sam Darnold. Got a Super Bowl ring before the other great quarterbacks in his class, those two being Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. So sometimes sports, man, can be so serendipitous in a way and so random because he's not a better player than those guys, but boy, he's had a hell of a career now with that stamped on it.
Kenneth Walker was the game MVP, but Jason Meyer had 17 points, 5 field goals, and 2 extra points. I know none of them were from crazy long or with a game on the line or anything, but I'll take that from my kicker every time out.
My defense or my MVP ballot would have been defense as a whole. I know you're not allowed to do it, but screw it. Then I would have gone co-kicker, punter. I thought the kicker and the punter for Seattle would have been second, and then I go with Kenneth Walker third.
I wasn't expecting to do a live MVP bet on a kicker, but I sure as hell did on Sunday afternoon.
So, quick question, Mark. When it comes to the live betting and all that, or just betting in general, so when they show the Gatorade color, is that when everyone finds out if their bet cashed or not?
I think because they showed him mixing it.
It's got to be the color that's dumped on.
Yeah, the one that is dumped on the head coach.
Okay.
Yeah. So yes, while the one they showed
the old
mix
was quite
yellow.
the tease.
And that's what I was saying. I was like, did they just give it away? Oh, it has to be dumped on the coach.
It's all about what Leonard Williams and Ernest Jones or whoever's dumping the Gatorade on Mike McDonald, whatever they grab.
The Gatorade bath color is basically what the bet is. So yeah, just because it shows it
Would
doesn't
you
mean
rather
that's the
be
one that
in
gets
lemon
dumped.
lime or glacier freeze?
Mm-hmm.
How'd you do on the betting markets yesterday, Mark? End of the day, all total.
I had the anytime touchdown bet for the Seattle defense.
Oh,
there was a
that's juicy.
Well, and it's even more juicy.
What were the odds on that?
There, I'd have to look. I think it was a max $5 wager because it was a specific bet, but it was also whatever the longest touchdown is. You get a cut of the $4 million. The Seattle touchdown bet was that boost. So I'm waiting to see what the actual official payout is. So I'm getting a cut of something. So you might not see me here tomorrow. We'll see.
It'll be a Harry and Izzy's.
Depending on what. Yeah, that's right. Give me the Jeff Rickard lunch special. I'd like to eat like a king for once.
I through various small bets. I don't bet that much. I netted $11.08 yesterday, Mark. I'll take it. I don't know if I can go to Harry and Izzy's, but I'll take the $11.08, man. I never bet all that much. I just like to have a little something going on.
Didn't our guy last week, Mark, say a lot of the Kenneth Walker overs? Which certainly from a rushing standpoint, he smashed those.
My Kenneth Walker over hit like at the end of the midway through the second quarter. He's got 80 plus yards. He hit that relatively quickly.
Anyway, 29-13, the final. Seattle wins Super Bowl 60, and that leads us all into the great offseason ahead for the Indianapolis Colts. And very quickly to recap, Kevin, they got to find a way to get better on defense, hope that everybody gets healthy, and they have some decisions to make at wide receiver. Is that pretty much it?
Yeah. I mean, I think you get in a few more than that, but hell, we got several weeks till the combine to discuss it, and a month until free agency. A month from today, legal tampering begins.
Question for both of you before we move on, though. Watching the playoffs and what we saw yesterday, just how far away are the Colts, James?
Very far. I think there's a Grand Canyon between them and Super Bowl contention, to be quite honest with you.
A lot of people pointing out that they were they got Phillip Rivers off the couch and on 3 days rest almost beat Seattle. Did we take anything from that, or was that just a fluky one-day thing?
I think it was a fluke.
All right. Moving on, the Indiana Pacers are awaiting word on the health of Johnny Furphy. He came up lame with a right leg injury after dunking the ball against Toronto yesterday on the road. We'll find out later today just how badly he was injured. Pacers lose the game 122-104. Scotty Barnes had 25 and 14 for Toronto, and Trace Jackson Davis in his Raptors debut had 10 points and 10 rebounds. Also waiting to see when we see Ivica Zubac and Kobe Brown in the Pacers lineup, and I got a feeling we'll see Brown before Zubac, James.
Oh, absolutely. The ankle might be a little more dinged up than usual, Kevin, and as you pointed out, Rick Carlisle had some thoughts on that?
Yeah, so he mentioned.
I got a kick out of this.
I think this was either after the Bucks, probably around the Bucks game, I guess, on Friday. He basically was like, "Hey, he's played in 94 and 95% of his games in his career. It's probably because he's willing to play through so many things, but he's not going to have the option to do that here." I was like, okay, there you go there. That tells you everything you need to know about playing through injuries. So, yes, I would say expect a heavy dose of it. Maybe Kobe Brown as early as tomorrow. They do play the Knicks tomorrow, and then the Nets in a back-to-back, and then the All-Star break here. But if I set the over-under at, what do they got, 20-some games left, 30 games left this season? If I set the over-under 10.5 games for Ivica Zubac.
Give me the under.
Under.
Give me the under.
I'll go under, too.
5.5.
I'll take the over on that one.
That's a good number. I'll go over, too.
I mean, you were reading off those rules, James, about load management. I'm like, how do you get, like, are you, like, presenting medical records? Like, are you, like, doubting, like, if Zubac is like, yeah, my ankle hurts?
It seems like when I read the rules, Kevin, it was predicated on you actually playing. So my thinking is as long as you play, like, a reasonable amount of minutes for, like, Pascal Siakam,
but you can sit the fourth quarter.
That's what I'm saying, because Utah just did it the other night.
Right, right. Yeah, Markkanen did it here.
Right, that's what I mean. Like, they're
up. That was.
Right, and boy, they're going to.
You got to finesse it.
They're going to screw with that schedule a lot. So, yeah, I think that's the gist of it, is like you just got to be available to play a reasonable amount of minutes. But, again, a better over-under maybe, Kevin, is perhaps, if I set the over-under at 6.5 for fourth quarters for Pascal Siakam the rest of the season, how many is he playing?
Right. You know what Rick's going to say to all that?
Yeah, I may let the urge pass on that.
The thing is, I was thinking you were going with it was time to get the bleep out of there. I thought you were going to go there.
Too.
You could go a lot of different avenues.
Yeah,
Rick's a versatile guy, man.
Oh, my gosh.
He's got a smorgasbord.
It's unbelievable. It's a charcuterie board every time Rick Carlisle shows up. Hopefully tomorrow at 8. I need to confirm.
I love the fact that Kevin dropped charcuterie today.
To rats.
The rat game. That was a Matherin question.
Mm-hmm.
The rat game.
Yeah, that was funny. And then the classic, I guess, to wrap up football season, when he told us that,
Goodell can't get him, right?
Goodell can't get me. Adam can get me. Goodell can't get me. That's hilarious.
He ain't gonna get me. He ain't gonna get me.
I love it.
Adam can get me, but Goodell can't. He can't touch me.
I feel like Rick Carlisle has like Friends sense of humor, like the show. Like you gotta have. It's not like right in your face, but a little subtle sarcasm. Yeah. He's a funny dude at times.
I like it. Pacers play tomorrow in New York against the Knicks, and then on Wednesday at the Nets, and we will see if either of the two new players make any debut during those basketball games. The Olympics, they are underway again over in both Milan and Cortina right now. Kevin, do you want to plug your ears if I give you the mixed doubles round robin session 13 United States curling score?
Oh, did it already happen this morning?
It's already happened.
Spoiler alert in the Bowen household.
Gosh. All right, give it to me.
All right, Italy 7, the United States 6.
Oh, so are we done? Are we in the medal round?
I don't know how that goes. You're asking the wrong guy.
Maddie probably knows.
Like, Jeff,
She's
you're like
locked
our
in.
resident Olympics guy.
Can you text her?
No, Maddie's all about the figure
No, I think
skating.
this is still just round robin. I don't think anybody's been eliminated yet.
Okay.
All right. What else?
I thought we were in the medal round. Now you have me nervous.
Well, it says mixed doubles round robin session 13.
Oh, okay. Well, good.
So
Hopefully
that's where we're at right
14
there.
to 15.
I feel like we're talking about Congress sessions. What are we talking about here?
All right. Anything else you guys need to know about before we head on
wanna
today?
mention this on a more serious note. You saw the news from James Pierce, the linebacker for the Atlanta Falcons, got charged with 5 felonies in some sort of domestic dispute with WNBA player Rakia Jackson. She plays for the LA Sparks. Very disturbing situation there that involved a lot of police activity. I saw a video of him being like pulled down by a bunch of police officers. Apparently, he tried to take his car and ram it into hers as she was trying to get to the police station. All this crazy stuff is happening. So the point of this being is, one, he just wrapped up a great rookie season with the Falcons, finished 3rd in Rookie of the Year Defensive Player voting. But now I'm curious to know truly if his NFL career will continue, because these are very, very serious charges involving another famous person. And the behavior stuff that he displayed is scary, man. And one of the knocks on him coming into the NFL was he's a first-round talent, but he has some
issues.
Yeah. So that was not obviously a very good thing to hear about over Super Bowl weekend.
And just to remind everybody, tonight inside of Assembly Hall, it's kind of the unusual Monday night Big Ten game. Indiana, Oregon. It's 8:30. Remember, Darren DeVries was originally hired at Creighton by Dana Altman. And now here you are, 25 years later, and these two are on opposing sidelines. In the honors tonight, you sent this out. You'll have Quinn Buckner, Scott May, Kent Benson, Bobby Wilkerson, Jim Cruz, Scott Ailes, James Roberson, Tom Abernathy, Mitchell Radford will be there honoring Wayne Radford, and Pat Knight will be there for his father. So, again, an honoring of the 76 team tonight inside of Assembly Hall.
Also, it was nice to see Vinny Testaverde on the field yesterday, being recognized as a new inductee into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So that was kind of cool to watch as well.
Vinatieri, not Vinny Testaverde, right?
What did I say? Vinny Testaverde?
Yeah.
I was thinking Vinny is what I was thinking. Thank you, Mark.
I didn't know what Hall of Fame you were going with there.
Yeah, not Vinny Testaverde. I was thinking Vinny.
A Hall of Fame of old. I believe he's like,
Vinny.
what? One of two quarterbacks to
I
win
thought
again
he
at
was
45?
chilling. He looked like a Zionsville dad. Looked like he was going to Bub's downtown in Zionsville with what he was rocking on the field. I thought he looked good.
Adam Vinatieri. And did you see he set like the unofficial? I saw Mike Chappell tweet out. Remember when he set the unofficial extra point record in 60 seconds? They kind of made up an event for him where he just kept knocking in extra point after extra point after extra point. So Mike Chappell was all over it on social media this weekend.
Okay.
There we go. All right. Anything else before I mangle somebody else's name this morning?
I think that is right. As long as you get my name right, that's the only one that matters.
We'll just call you James B from now on.
There you go.
All right. More in a moment as we continue at 93.5 and 107.5.
James Billionaire.
Go to the week coming up next.
107.5 The Fan.
It's the Monday after the Super Bowl here at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Once again, void of any Indianapolis Colts team showing up there, but we watched the game yesterday nevertheless as the Seattle Seahawks got a win over the New England Patriots 29-13. And Mark, that brings us to our Monday Goats of the Week.
Keep the party going.
You okay back there today?
Who is the GOAT?
I told you all that I was the greatest of all time.
Jordan, here's Michael at the foul line. A shot on Elo. Good!
That's what I'm talking about. That's why he's MVP. That's why he's the GOAT. The GOAT.
Or GOAT?
This guy sucks.
Of the week.
You know what's happening is we have these new mouse things, but
Yeah.
they're battery controlled. I think the battery is dying in this thing.
Is that what's going on?
I think so.
All right.
Somebody get me a double A.
You're usually the star of the show, and I was just a little
No.
concerned about you today.
That's
That's
a day
all.
that ends in Y, my friend.
Well, there you go. All right.
Oh,
so,
Lord.
Goats of the Week. You want to start good or bad, James Boyd?
Let's go with the good GOAT.
All right.
Starting off positive.
So my GOAT of the week would have to be Cooper Kupp. 2-time Super Bowl champion. He was the Triple Crown winner a few years ago. I believe he won a Super Bowl MVP as well. He's not a Hall of Fame player. He only has one Pro Bowl and one All-Pro in his career. But, boy, that is quite the career for a guy who, at one point, didn't think he was going to play in the NFL. I mean, he didn't come from a powerhouse university or anything. I think it was Eastern Washington, if I'm not mistaken. So, shout out to Cooper Kupp, man. He's a very likable guy. I haven't heard anybody say anything bad about him, and he is now a 2-time Super Bowl champ. So, respect to him.
My goats will surround actually both good and bad. They're going to surround a little high school sports here this weekend. My good goat, I love this, and I apologize because I'm not sure exactly the school that it was taking place at, but it was senior night for the girls' high school team, and they had the dads on the mic announcing their senior daughters in the starting lineup and the moms at the end of the handshake line to do the dapping up. I love that.
I like that.
I think that's a nice little twist on senior night. I think it's really cool. Unfortunately, we're getting to the time where as joyous as some of these moments can be for high school athletes, it also can be pretty sad when it all comes to an end here as we reach now the girls in the regional round. Boys sectionals about to start up. Wrestling's and semi-state coming up this weekend. I thought that was cool, and I hadn't really seen that.
Real talk, I think that is something that is one of those, like, you embarrass your kid moment, but it's like a funny thing. And I enjoyed that part of it because, you know, I was in high school once, and high school
18-year-old me would have hated it.
Exactly.
38-year-old me, father of three, can say,
that's what I'm saying.
I want to be doing that
and I think when the kids get older, they look back on it, they'll appreciate just the humor in it.
Yeah.
All right. My good goat of the week, I go back to last week. Kevin Pritchard just continues to amaze me. The things he does to continuously give this fan base hope about their team. He puts together a team that comes within a little more than a half of perhaps winning an NBA championship. He loses his best player for a year. He has other players going down left and right when the season goes along. Trade deadline comes along. Everybody's wondering how they're going to address the big hole in the middle. Not only does he go and get a legitimate NBA center and a nice bit part in Kobe Brown, but he's put himself in position to perhaps get a top 4 pick. Maybe even a top 6 pick when the NBA draft comes around. You have Tyrese Halliburton coming back after 16 months of rehab and a real chance to be effective pretty much out of the gate. This guy continues to give his fan base hope again and again and again. And it's not Los Angeles. It's not New York. It's not Boston. And he just does what he does with the best of them. Always.
And we'll see if it pays off.
All right.
My good was nothing sports related, but my Saturday night was very good. My parents, my mom specifically, has always wanted to see Blue Man Group, and they came to Old National Center over the weekend. So I was like, I'm getting tickets for everybody. Come on, drive down. So the parents came down, brought the whole family to Old National Center, went to the garage down the street to get some dinner ahead of time, some drinks and whatnot. Who pops in after we sit down and eating? None other than Jake Query and Shannon sitting right next to us. I'm like, what? I can't escape you or anything. You're just stalking me. Do you have
This is your good
I was
go?
gonna say,
No,
is
no.
this good or
that
bad?
was the lowercase.
Oh,
the
okay.
good was the actual event and the drinks.
Got it.
The lowercase was Jake Query just sniffing around. I'm like, do you have an air tag in my shoe or something? How are you here? How did you find my exact table? How did this happen?
I love the garage, by the way.
The garage is outstanding. My
I
parents,
stopped by
first time
there.
they've been there, they're like, it is outstanding.
I went last Thursday. Great place.
Great spot. James, what do you got negative?
So my negative go to the week, would be Giannis Antetokounmpo. So he puts out the tweet, and it had the video right after the trade deadline of the Wolf of Wall Street scene, I'm not effing leaving. And then he puts the caption, legends don't chase, they attract. Brother, this is your fault. All you had to do to say from the beginning is, I do not want to trade. I will never demand a trade. I will be a buck for life if you really mean it. Now, I'm not saying you should do that because that would be bad business, and obviously you want to keep your options open. But if you're as loyal as you say you are, don't act like we're the ones creating all this, drama. You did this, so you don't get credit for staying past the trade deadline. Will you sign another extension with them? So, are we doing the same song and dance in the summer? I just think that that's funny that he put that out there. And then, mind you, let's not forget, the Bucks stink this year. So I'm like, I feel like they got lost in translation. They are god-awful, with or without you. So what changes if you don't leave or the team doesn't improve drastically? So Giannis, great player, but I thought the theatrics was kind of LeBron-esque with some of the attention seeking.
The Giannis gift reminded me of what my dad told me when we were kids. He's like, you don't get credit for not doing drugs. That's something you're supposed to not do that. You're supposed to stay with the team that you're on. You don't get credit for that.
That's such a dad line. That's such a peak dad line right there.
He's preparing.
Are you going to use that one day?
One day. Hey, Addy, sit down. I got to talk to you real quick.
My negative go, you guys know I'm a loser about Notre Dame basketball. Heartbreaking Saturday night. I thought it was going to be a roaring comeback. So I decided to dial up Jonathan Sanderson, Notre Dame's big-time point guard recruit coming in next year, watch his high school team play because I have nothing else better to do once the kids are asleep. The epidemic that the replay has now created in basketball.
Oh, boy.
The amount of kids that twirl their finger in the air and immediately look towards their bench and or the scores table. This has to be happening at Grand Park and Pro Nets and whatever the place is that Johnny Marlin opened up. This has to be happening everywhere, right? I mean, this is not just a high school thing where just as soon as one call, and again, obviously there's no challenges in the high school game, as soon as we see one bad call, one iffy call, it's the immediate twirl of the finger. What are they going to go up to Greg Rakestraw set up there and look at all the camera shots that they have there on that? The epidemic is real, and it's sad.
I'm going to go obvious. I'm going to go with the number 4 pick for the New England Patriots at left tackle, Will Campbell, who was just a turnstile in the game yesterday. And I saw one article that I agreed with this morning. He might be a future guard in the National Football League because he struggled in
Short
the postseason.
arms, as they say?
He's one of the big reasons that Mr. May was sacked, what did you say, 19 times in the postseason?
21.
21 after last night.
NFL record. That's obviously a record you do not want to have. And actually, it was the most since Joe Burrow and the Bengals went to the Super Bowl. He had 19 or had taken 19 sacks. So, Jeff, I agree. That was some rough football from him. Now, granted, he's a rookie. He'll grow. But the short arms thing, I wonder if that's something that makes them push him back inside.
Man, if you talk about watching tape, just go after that dude all day long right now. Like you said, he's a rookie, could get better, but that was tough.
It was.
That was tough. Mark, we good to go and you're bad? Yeah, you're good to go. So I think we've covered everybody.
Jay Query.
No, I was going to say, I was reading this story. I was making sure I had it correct. Do you see the Olympic medals that are apparently just falling apart after the people get them?
Yeah. I saw, Mark, I forget who it was specifically. I'm sorry to the Olympic champion, but she was explaining. It might have been Breezy, the one who won.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, she was explaining.
Breezy Johnson.
Yeah, Breezy Johnson. She was jumping up and down, and it broke.
And she's not the only one.
Like
apparently, that's happened a few times. And like the Olympics are now looking into it as to why the medals are so flimsy that the ribbons are just falling off. And all I could think of was the infamous Seinfeld scene.
This guy won't wear a ribbon.
Who? Who does
doesn't want to wear the ribbon.
Well, apparently anyone that won a medal because it's fallen off. They can't do it.
What wasn't it a couple years ago at the Summer Olympics in Paris because they had tried to meld old pieces of the Eiffel Tower amongst the design of your gold, silver, and bronze medals that was falling apart for some people? Wasn't that a thing, James?
It was. And so, yeah, we need to talk to the people who make these things. You know, obviously, as an Olympic champion myself, I have many of these, and mine have held up better throughout the years than these new age versions we're talking about.
Breezy Johnson said, I'm sure somebody will fix it. It's not crazy broken, but a little broken. You just won it. How's it falling apart already?
I'm looking forward to your
return policy.
I'm looking forward to your public display of all those medals one day, just so we can stop by and see them.
Hey, I'll keep you posted.
All right. We'll wrap up the show in Olympic fashion next at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Yeah, the wife and I are sitting there on the couch watching the Super Bowl last night. She looks up and all of a sudden she goes, "Is that Ricky Martin?" That was Ricky Martin, was it not, Mark Dykton?
Yeah. Ashley was looking. She's like, "Is that Pedro Pascal on the back porch?" I'm like, "Yeah, that looks like him. That's Jessica Alba, Cardi B hanging out. That was a place to be."
There you go.
I was looking at Jessica Alba. She was looking at Pedro Pascal. I'm like, well, two birds of a feather.
Shout out my boy Pedro and one of the best shows I've enjoyed on HBO, The Last of Us.
I gotta start that. Was that cranking on your car stereo when it was out, man?
Hell yeah.
Was that cranking?
But so Kevin is bilingual.
It's funny. I mean, I took 4 years of Spanish in high school, and I feel like I just remembered none of it.
Brother, I was the clown who took 3 years of Spanish in high school and just didn't worry about it and didn't care. And I had to take another year in college. Could you imagine a Spanish class in college?
I luckily tested out some credits in college, and I'd love to see what that test looks like now. Like, how in the world did I just happen to have somebody next to me that knew a lot? How the hell did I master that?
So, Kevin, we had a participation grade for our Spanish classes. So as much as you speak in the class was part of your grade.
Oh, man.
And I feel like I only got my points because I used to always say, "Como se dice," whatever. I could not really have a full-blown conversation. And, I remember asking, how I was asking my Spanish teacher how to say turn up. At the time, that was a big thing. Like, I want to turn up. And she wouldn't tell me. And I said, well, como se dice turn up, like the vegetable. And she finally told me that, so I kept saying, I forget the word. I kept saying that in class to try to, get the points.
I can just picture me and Justin Curitan and Brian Shelbourne and Pat Snyder sitting in the back just looking up cuss words.
Which you can do on the internet all the time. Now, here's the thing about language, though. If you don't lose it, it doesn't stick. It doesn't. And I think the only thing that helped me retain some of it to the point where I can get by is my first 2 years in college in the summertime, I worked for the railroad. And we would go out and literally lay rail and legitimately just tearing up track, putting down new
Spanish
tack, things like that.
What were you speaking?
No, but I was speaking Spanish. But I would say about half of the crew spoke Spanish. And so I continued to speak with them through the summer. I think that helped me out quite a bit.
Okay.
But if you don't use it, you're not going to remember it. Because I know a lot of people that have had the 3-4 years in school, and the farther and farther they get away from it, you don't use it, so why would you remember it?
All I remember was hey. OMG, because I used to always mess something up, and she'd look at me and be like, well, what are you doing, James? I'm like, hey.
CBSSports.com has already ranked all 60 Super Bowls. And last night's they ranked.
Let it marinate.
They ranked last night's 53rd out of 60 already. The Colts win over the Bears was 29th, so right there in the middle of it.
My question is this. We would call last night a historic Super Bowl performance defensively by the Seattle Seahawks, right?
Right.
Did the last 2 touchdowns ruin it all, though?
Nah, not really.
Nah,
not to me.
I don't think so.
But
the MVP goes to an offensive player.
I like where you're going with this, though.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean...
So let's be honest about this game. We want to see bad defenses in big games.
Yeah, I just want entertainment. Like, if you could create a good back and forth, we go to the 2-minute warning timeout, and we don't know who's going to win the game.
You want like the one possession game.
I'm good with it. I'm not screaming. Yes, I like points. Don't get me wrong. But I can get behind 13-10 if the team with 10's got the ball at the 50-yard line and Mike Tirico's sending us to the 2-minute warning. Let's go.
Right. Okay.
So like I can get behind it. It's not my favorite, but we're going to look back on this game and call it a historic defensive performance in the Seattle Seahawks and be like, oh yeah, running back's the MVP.
Well, who you got to call if you want that is Tom Brady. I feel like out of his 7 Super Bowls, 6 of them always had us on our hands and
I know.
And like, pins and needles, just looking and seeing what was going to happen at the end. Boy, the theater and the drama.
So if you're looking for a defensive MVP last night, Ernest Jones of the Seahawks had 11 tackles, 10 of them solo last night.
Well, the thing about Seattle is there's so much balance. You could give it to Witherspoon. You could give it to Love. You could give it to the pick 6. You could give it to, trying to think of the edge rusher that had a couple sacks.
Derek Hall had 2 sacks.
Yeah, Derek Hall. And he's
so
not even
Brian Murphy.
He's not even a frontline rusher for him.
Yeah.
So, that's probably, I don't know. I'm not going to pretend that any defensive player is going to get it. Hell, People thought the kicker should have gotten it.
Shout out Jason Myers. I just kept thinking about Michael Myers whenever his name came up.
Didn't he make he's the same one that made all those kicks against the Colts, right?
Yep.
Michael
Dixon,
Michael Dixon was tremendous for the Seahawks as a punter last night too.
Yeah. So again, is it Super Bowl to remember? Probably not. But shout out to the 12s. They got their second Super Bowl in franchise history.
All right, coming up next, we'll have some national perspective on it. Clinton Yates stops by, and then from noon to 3, it will be Jay Query. From 3 to 6, as always, The Ride with JMV. For everybody here this morning, thanks so much for being here. We appreciate it. We'll do it again tomorrow morning, bright and early, 7.